Welcome to the Myriad Races Lord Continent. Initiating initial talent extraction, Lin Chen slowly opened his eyes. Gray mist stretched as far as he could see, resembling a massive cage trapping him within a cramped space. Barren black rock surrounded him on all sides. Not a blade of grass grew here, nor could a single drop of water be found. During his 3 years of high school, he had simulated countless Lord Dissension scenarios inside a virtual pod. He had long grown calm to such sights. Yet luck had not favored him. He had spawned in a desolate wasteland mine, a starting zone fraught with hardship. Lacking lumber and fresh water, this was hell mode difficulty. On the endless continent where 10,000 races vied for supremacy, survival stood as the sole truth. Any lord strong enough could command boundless wealth and even grasp immortality. All humans on Blue Star who reached 18 years of age would be forcibly transported here. Warning: detected host possesses memories of 2 separate otherworldly souls. System encountering an unknown anomaly. Reassigning exclusive hidden talent, Lord of 10,000 Towers. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. Lord of 10,000 Towers? He had memorized 100,000 known talents during his school studies. Yet he had never encountered this name. Could this be exclusive benefits granted to a transmigrator? Lin Chen willed a virtual panel open directly. Talent, Lord of 10,000 Towers. Rank, Mythic Grade. The 3 glowing golden characters, Mythic Grade, dazzled his vision. Lin Chen's breath hitched slightly. Items and talents across the Myriad Races continent were divided into 6 tiers: common, fine, rare, epic, legendary, and mythic. A mythic grade talent might not emerge among hundreds of millions of humans. He suppressed the excitement surging inside him and continued reading. Talent Effect 1, Will of the Lone Wolf. For every additional troop unit within your territory, all buildings lose 10 health, attack power, and defense. When your territory holds 0 troop units, all building attributes increase tenfold. Talent Effect 2, Vitality of Creation. Each constructed building grants an extra 10 attribute boost to all structures across the territory. Upon erecting 10 buildings, a special modifier activates. All building special effects multiply 10 times over. Upon erecting 100 buildings, terrain restrictions are lifted, allowing towers to be built across the void between realms. Upon erecting 10,000 buildings, every structure within your territory transforms into floating divine islands capable of free movement. After reading the panel, Lin Chen could not help but let out a bitter laugh. This talent forced him to completely abandon mass troop tactics. Ordinary lords would recruit peasants to handle logistics and summon troops to hunt monsters and seize resources. Powerful hero units would then lead those armies into battle. Without troops, how would one venture out to gather resources? Still, the tenfold attribute bonus for buildings was incredibly tempting. Committing fully to a tower defense strategy might very well carve out a path to survival. Lin Chen glanced down at the blue Lord crystal beneath his feet. A 7-day novice protection period began upon spawn. As long as the crystal remained intact, the Lord could never truly die and revive endlessly beside it. War fog blanketed every direction beyond his territory. His initial field of vision covered only a square zone measuring 100 meters by 100 meters. To gather resources, he would have to risk his life to dispel the fog. Lin Chen did not hesitate and strode toward the edge of the gray mist straight ahead. He had only walked a short distance when a massive one-horned black wolf lunged out of the haze, its jaws clamping down to sever his neck. Darkness swallowed his sight. The next instant, he reappeared unharmed beside the crystal. Instead of feeling fear, Lin Chen broke into a grin. This proved high-level wild monsters lurked right at the fog boundary, and defeating them would surely yield valuable loot. Open the novice gift pack. Obtained 1 random troop camp blueprint. Obtained 1,000 base void energy. Lin Chen pulled out the blueprint for inspection. Random blueprints most often yielded only ordinary troop types. Bound by his talent restrictions, he had no use for troops at this moment. He casually stored the blueprint in his inventory, setting it aside for later. On the Myriad Races continent, constructing basic buildings required no blueprints. As long as sufficient void energy was available, structures could be materialized out of thin air. Among all basic constructions, only one type possessed offensive capabilities: the Black Iron Arrow Tower. Lin Chen focused his mind. 100 void energy deducted. Boom. The black rock of the wasteland mine split apart with brute force. A 3-meter-tall black iron arrow tower rose from the ground, its frigid metallic frame radiating a chilling aura. No stone or timber needed to be collected. No peasants required to lay brick after brick during construction. Structures materialize directly through void energy. For an ordinary lord, such actions would waste precious starting resources. But Lin Chen possessed no other options. Not a single blade of grass grew in this wasteland mine, let alone trees to harvest. Even if lumber existed, sending unarmed peasants beyond the territory to gather materials would amount to sending them to their deaths. Lin Chen fixed his gaze on the defensive tower before him, and the virtual interface surfaced automatically. Black Iron Arrow Tower level, 1 health points. 110 base 10 plus, Will of the Lone Wolf Amplification Attack Power. 11 base 1 plus, Will of the Lone Wolf Amplification Defense. 11 base 1 plus, Will of the Lone Wolf Amplification. Staring at the tower's attack, defense values exceeding 10 and health surpassing 100, Lin Chen clicked his tongue. These statistics were staggering. A level 1 Black Iron Arrow Tower now boasted power equivalent to a level 10 defensive tower. A mythic-grade talent truly lived up to its reputation. Zing! Before he could observe further, the tower's apex loaded a thick steel bolt automatically. Swoosh! A piercing sound cut through the air as the bolt streaked into the gray mist. The steel projectile struck the one-horned black wolf, poking its head out from the north precisely. Uft! A single blow brought it down instantly. Notification: your Black Iron Arrow Tower has slain a one-horned black wolf. Loot acquired: Black Wolf Meat times 10. On the Myriad Races continent, monster kills were credited to whoever landed the final strike, with spoils automatically deposited within the Lord Crystal. A smile tugged at Lin Chen's lips. Everything unfolded exactly as he anticipated. Empowered by his talent, a single level 1 defensive tower could eliminate every wild monster roaming the edges of his starting territory. A regular novice lord encountering such a large beast would need to personally act as bait to draw the monster out. Then command 3 summoned militiamen to chip away at its health slowly for a chance at victory. The process wasted endless time, and a single misstep could lead to death. Lin Chen, however, handled everything with merely 1 Black Iron Arrow Tower. Lin Chen opened the management interface to examine unlocked building functions. Lord Central Crystal Level, 1 current population cap, 0 out of 10 current hero cap, 0 out of 1 current building cap, 1/10 max level for defensive towers and troops, 10 current territory area, 1 tile, maximum 10 tiles. Unlocked blueprint list, basic barracks. Costs 500 void energy to construct a troop building capable of recruiting basic units. Black Iron Arrow Tower. Costs 100 void energy to build a level 1 defensive tower, base health 10, base attack 1, base defense 1. Spirit Hero Altar. Costs 1000 void energy to erect a hero structure used to summon hero units. Space-Time Trading Post. Costs 200 void energy to activate cross-regional resource trade. Crude Dwelling. Costs 100 void energy to build housing that raises population cap by 2. Territory Energy Generation. Automatically produces 100 void energy daily. Remaining energy, 900. Ding. The Lord Band wrapped around his wrist vibrated suddenly. He could control his territory purely through thought. Yet communication with the outside world relied entirely on the wristband's holographic projection. When he opened the projected screen, messages flooded the class chat group, with countless users at mentioning him. At Lin Chen, Chenggu, what troop did you draw? Yeah, share it, and let us have a look. Wang Tung from the neighboring class is incredible. He rolled rare, grade heavy cavalry. He can charge straight into battle and slay foes left and right from the start. Word travels that a wealthy heir from the imperial capital unlocked a legendary frost dragon nest. Discussion raged within the group. For every lord, the quality of their initial troop nest directly determined the speed of resource gathering and expansion. High-quality troops meant gaining an enormous advantage from the very beginning. As for talents, nearly everyone kept them hidden, rarely disclosing details voluntarily. Glancing over the screen, Lin Chen typed a casual reply to the group. Me? I don't plan on recruiting any troops. The chat fell silent for several seconds. What do you mean, no troops? Is Chun-Gu giving up already? Don't joke around. You were our simulation champion throughout high school. Who can we rely on if you throw in the towel? Lin Chen, what dreadful terrain did you spawn into? Lin Chen snapped a photo of the rock-strewn wasteland surrounding him and sent it to the group. Good heavens. This desolate place with nothing but rocks? Not a single living thing in sight. Oh wow. Seeing the photograph, all his classmates were stunned. The conversation shifted instantly. Nobody mentioned seeking his support anymore. Spawning in such a hopeless zone meant falling far behind from day one. Once the 7-day novice protection expired, surviving incoming monster assaults would remain questionable. Ha! I died 6 times before finally grinding down the black-eyed wild boar near my territory. Check this screenshot. I looted 3 pieces of rare boar meat. A classmate named Zhao Chong posted a screenshot to show off. Newly spawned lords possessed no inherent attack capabilities. Zhao Chong's ability to lure monsters with his body and direct militiamen to safely wear down the board demonstrated impressive operational skill. Amazing work, Chong. Hope you can look out for us. Amid the flood of compliments, a discordant message appeared. Humph. If Lin Chen were here, he would not have died once. He could easily handle this just by positioning peasants to block the monster. The class group lapsed into quiet again. Everyone thought Lin Chen had surrendered, yet someone still spoke up for him. Zhao Qin stared at the messages on the interface, biting her lip gently, her eyes growing misty. Before the Lord Dissension, she had lingered beside Lin Chen for months, hoping he would aid her once they arrived on the Myriad Races continent. Lin Chen had agreed to help her back then. She never imagined he would spawn in the worst possible wasteland mine zone. Zhao Qin, Lin Chen isn't even going to recruit troops. Our class needs someone we can trust. Wang Teng unlocked rare troops. Even if his skill isn't top tier, his development speed will outpace ours by miles. Exactly. Wang Teng is our only hope. Classmates chimed in one after another within the group. Zhao Qin's heart twisted, yet she could find no words to argue back. Before graduation, these same people crowded around Lin Chen, showering him with praise. The moment they learned his starting position was doomed, they turned their backs immediately and rushed to curry favor with Wang Teng. They were nothing but fickle opportunists. Zhao Qin refused to take part in kicking someone when they were down. Even trapped in the wasteland mine, she firmly believed Lin Chen was no ordinary person. With that thought, she quickly sent Lin Chen a private message. Brother Lin Chen, are you truly planning to give up? 2 seconds later, Lin Chen replied, of course not. Upon reading those 4 words, Zhao Qin let out a quiet breath of relief, a soft smile tugging at her lips. Just as she suspected, Lin Chen would never surrender easily. To outsiders, refusing to recruit troops seemed like admitting defeat. But he bore a mythic grade talent. He would never settle for mediocrity. Lin Chen skimmed the chat channel briefly, saw nothing but empty chatter, and shut down the hologram. He scanned the empty territory around him. Focusing his will, he expended 200 void energy. An ancient trading post materialized from thin air. Constrained by his talent, recruiting troops was impossible, and basic peasants could only perform labor, lacking combat capability. If he wanted to venture into the fog to gather resources, he could not keep sacrificing himself repeatedly. Revival carried no cost, yet he could not travel far each time. He needed to summon a powerful hero unit as soon as possible. Still, constructing the Spirit Hero Altar alone required 1,000 void energy. He also planned to build large numbers of black iron arrow towers afterward, creating a massive energy deficit. He could not afford to waste even the 10 void energy required to summon peasants right now. Nothing but black rocks stretched in every direction. Summoning peasants would leave them with no work to do. Lin Chen stepped before the hologram of the trading post. He placed the random troop camp blueprint obtained from the novice gift pack onto the trading interface. Set price, 10,000 void energy. The price appeared exorbitant, yet he remained calm. He understood clearly that powerful financial conglomerates and major factions would pay vast sums to hire newly turned 18-year-old arrivals. Many newcomers voluntarily renounced their status as lords, pooling their starting 1,000 void energy and troop blueprints to supply core young heirs within their clans. Therefore, plenty of wealthy parties possessed the means to pay 10,000 void energy this early on. They would spare no expense competing for premium troop blueprints. Wow. Everyone check the trading post. Some lunatic is selling a troop blueprint. Am I seeing correctly? A random troop camp construction blueprint. This is the single best item to change your fortunes in the early game. If you sell the blueprint, you can only buy basic blueprints at inflated prices from the Lord Crystal later whenever you want to build barracks. Wait, this seller ID looks familiar. No way. Isn't this Lin Chen's ID? The group chat erupted in chaos. Most players had built trading posts early to exchange essential starting supplies. Upon reading the messages, everyone opened the trade list to verify. Sure enough, the seller who listed the blueprint matched Lin Chen's public identity information perfectly. Insane. Selling your most vital trump card for energy. Lin Chen must have completely given up. I once thought he might stage a comeback from despair. Sigh. Anyone would crumble starting in a wasteland zone. Zhao Qin stared blankly at the group discussions, a dull ache rising in her chest as tears welled up. Her fingers tightened as she clutched the hem of her clothes. Why would Brother Lin Chen sell his most precious asset? What plan was he hiding? Ding. Notification. Your random troop camp construction blueprint has been purchased. You received 10,000 void energy. The item was bought instantly shortly after being listed. Watching his rapidly expanding resource stockpile, Lin Chen acted without delay. Expending 1,000 void energy, the spirit hero altar, shrouded in mysterious radiance, took shape instantly. Just as he prepared to summon a hero, a sudden thought flashed through his mind. The talent vitality of creation. Once territory buildings reached 10 in total, the special modifier would activate, multiplying all building special effects 10 times over. If the Black Iron Arrow Towers received a 10-fold boost, it would undoubtedly mean 10 times greater firepower and range. If the Spirit Hero Altar received that 10-fold enhancement, would the quality and probability of summoning high-tier heroes also increase 10 times over? Lin Chen's heart raced with excitement. He did not hesitate for a moment and poured in an additional 700 void energy. Bright white light flashed continuously across the empty ground of his territory as 7 brand new Black Iron Arrow Towers rose up. The Lord Central Crystal counted as a core structure and was excluded from the building tally. Counting the original Arrow Tower, the Trading Post, and the Spirit Hero Altar, the total number of buildings within the territory stood precisely at 10. A faint golden sacred halo surfaced across every single building, swirling and interweaving over the ground. Staring at the radiantly glowing Spirit Hero Altar, Lin Chen steadied his mind and spoke in a deep voice. Begin summoning. Summoning heroes through the Spirit Hero Altar normally relied entirely on luck. The odds of drawing high-tier heroes using a basic altar were infinitesimal, nearly impossible. Yet boosted by the 10-fold special modifier, this Spirit Hero Altar had transformed completely. The summoning system of the Myriad Races continent followed arcane rules. High-tier buildings could produce top-tier troops and heroes thanks to the fundamental law power. Amplified tenfold, the altar's law power surged to terrifying levels. Summoning high-quality heroes would prove effortless. For ordinary barracks, however, the blueprint fixed troop quality, meaning a tenfold boost would merely increase recruitment numbers. That held no value for Lin Chen's pure tower defense strategy. Right now, beneath the surging flood of law power, the Spirit Hero Altar unleashed a brilliant golden pillar of light shooting straight toward the heavens. The gloomy haze hanging above the wasteland mine tore open, and long-absent sunlight poured down. Lin Chen had never witnessed such spectacular celestial phenomena inside the high school virtual pods. Countless golden specks scattered through the air as the pillar of light fragmented. An elegant female figure slowly descended. She had magnificent golden long hair billowing in the wind. Clad in light armor woven from several emerald green vine leaves, much of her fair skin remained exposed. Her slender waist was framed by a pale green miniskirt that barely covered her hips. A pair of long, straight ivory legs stretched out freely, their skin smooth and fine as polished jade. Barefoot, her translucent feet rested gently upon the black rocks. Her emerald green eyes studied Lin Chen curiously for a few moments. Then she stepped forward and dropped to one knee. Honorable Lord, Ella offers you her service. At the same instant, a notification popped up on Lin Chen's system panel. Congratulations. You have obtained a Mythic Tier Hero Unit, Elven Mythic Archer. Name, Ella. Level, 1. Combat Power, 100. Skills, Wind's Shelter, Phantom Multi-Shot, Armor-Piercing Finisher. Current Loyalty, 70 Dutiful. Mythic Tier. Lin Chen's breath hitched. She truly was a Mythic Tier hero. He quickly regained his senses as he looked upon Ella's breathtaking features and striking figure. Please rise. He stretched out a hand, grasped Ella's soft arm, and pulled her to her feet. Her skin felt silky smooth beneath his fingertips. You need not stand on such ceremony within the territory. You may call me Lin Chen. Ella nodded obediently. As you wish, Lord Lin Chen. Notification, your amicable gesture has raised Ella's loyalty by 1. Current loyalty, 71. Lin Chen let out a quiet sigh of relief. Within the Myriad Realms continent, all subordinates possessed a loyalty stat. It represented the hero's sense of belonging toward their lord. 70 points was merely the baseline for newly recruited units. If he mistreated his followers and allowed loyalty to drop below 60, heroes could defect at any moment. Worse still, they might strike him down in his sleep. Notification, your handsome appearance has raised Ella's loyalty by 1. Current loyalty, 72. Lin Chen stared, glancing involuntarily at Ella. He had long heard that elves judged others heavily based on appearance. But he had never imagined it would be this extreme. Simply being good-looking could boost loyalty directly? No textbook had ever covered such a scenario. It seems all the rigid knowledge taught in school is useless. He possessed an unrivaled mythic talent, and now he had drawn a mythic tier hero. Ambition stirred within Lin Chun as never before. Still, he had no intention of charging out into the open to fight recklessly like a brute. He planned to construct countless defensive towers across his territory and forge an impregnable steel stronghold. Relying on dozens of high-grade towers, he would blast every invader into dust. He would remain comfortably in the background, a puppeteer controlling everything from the shadows. Noticing Lin Chun was lost in thought, Ella lightly shook the hero terminal strapped to her wrist. Lord Lin Chun, please recruit more archers for me to command. I am willing to lead troops into the mist to expand your domain. As a mythic tier hero, she understood the importance of making a good first impression. Though she was inherently lazy and dreamed of finding a quiet spot to idle away her days, she needed to appear diligent in front of her new lord. Lin Chun shook his head and refused without hesitation. There is no need. I do not plan to recruit any troops. Ella froze, pure confusion shining in her emerald eyes. Coupled with her stunning face, she looked rather endearing. Notification: your decision not to recruit troops aligns perfectly with Ella's desire for a peaceful, leisurely life. Loyalty +1. Current loyalty, 73. What? Lin Chun was utterly dumbfounded, and his vision of being a mastermind behind the scenes crumbled instantly. Could it be that this formidable mythic tier hero was nothing more than a laid-back homebody who only wanted to laze around? Ella could not shake the feeling that her lord was gazing at her strangely, as if he had seen through her wish to avoid hard work. She lowered her head nervously, avoiding eye contact with Lin Chun. Lin Chun massaged his temples as he regarded the gorgeous golden-haired elf before him. Come with me. We will venture out to survey the surroundings. At your command, I shall defend you with my life. Ella hastily assured him, nodding rapidly like a pecking chick. There is no need to worry about my safety. As long as the Lord Crystal stands, I can resurrect endlessly. Lin Chun explained casually. However, do not fight to the death if danger arises. Retreat straight back to the territory and prioritize your own survival. Ella paused for a moment, then nodded obediently. Notification: your thoughtful concern has raised Ella's loyalty by 1. Current loyalty, 74. Lin Chun stared wordlessly at Ella. Were all elves this straightforward? Could a simple show of care raise her favorability so easily? Is something the matter, Lord Lin Chun? Ella blinked her large emerald eyes, looking entirely innocent. Nothing. Let us go. The two stepped forward, vanishing into the gray mist one after another. The wasteland mine was covered in pitch-black stone, not a single weed growing anywhere. The ground was pockmarked and uneven, offering precious little flat land suitable for building defensive towers. They had only traveled a short distance when a dozen gray wolves with glowing green eyes burst out from a pile of broken rock. Ella reacted instantly, drawing an arrow in one fluid motion. The bowstring hummed. A streak of light sliced through the air and pierced straight through a wolf's skull. One shot, one kill. She then bounded nimbly between the boulders, loosing arrows in rapid succession. After several pained howls, all the wolves lay slain. Notification: your hero Ella has slain a mutant gray wolf. Obtain wolf meat ×3, EXP +10. Notification: your hero Ella has slain a mutant gray wolf. Obtain wolf meat ×3, EXP +10. Notification: your hero Ella has risen to level 2. All base attributes have improved. Lin Chun stood on high ground, watching the mist recede to reveal several hundred meters of new terrain. This place was desolate indeed. Thankfully, it was a lone mountain range rather than an endless stretch of peaks. A hint of green appeared on the far horizon, indicating that plains or forest lay at the edge of the mine. Having mapped out the basic terrain, Lin Chun waved and led Ella back along their original path. The rocks grew steep along the route, with numerous sheer drops. Lin Chun possessed only an ordinary human physique. He could not climb certain ledges on his own. Seeing this, Ella naturally slipped an arm around his waist and lifted him to leap onto the higher rock ledge. Their bodies pressed close together. Lin Chun caught a fresh scent of wild plants drifting from her. His arm brushed against her skin. Ella acted as if nothing had happened once they landed, releasing him and standing politely to one side. Lin Chun cleared his throat to steady his thoughts. This mountain mine was naturally easy to defend. If he built black iron arrow towers at every key pass, it would become a bottleneck that a single warrior could hold against thousands. The journey back grew dull, so Lin Chun opened his Lord terminal and entered the group chat, hoping to gather useful intelligence from the others. The chat was buzzing with conversation. Good heavens! My human advanced barracks produced a female mage. Her looks are incredible, Those long legs are stunning. I'm green with envy. All I recruited were burly peasant men without a single woman among them. Everyone was sharing a screenshot of the female mage. Lin Chen glanced at it and thought she was unremarkable. Everyone had only just arrived in the Myriad Realms continent and remained on edge. Having acquired their own troops filled them with a strong sense of attachment. So they overpraised anyone moderately attractive. You should count yourselves lucky. Look at my starting units. Goblin screenshot. Whoa, short green-skinned creatures, that's hideous. My condolences, mate. Ha ha, starting out with a horde of goblins. I wonder how Lin Chen is faring now. He's all alone with no troops. Let's not mention him. He sold off his only troop blueprint. He's probably waiting for death in that mine of his. After reading these messages, Lin Chen typed a line and sent it. Sorry to disappoint you. I have a beautiful elf with me from the start. Once the message was sent, he snapped a side profile photo of Ella beside him and uploaded it to the group. In the photograph, Ella's golden hair flowed freely, her exquisite features breathtaking. Whoa, what is this? A genuine elf? That golden hair, those emerald eyes, my goodness, she's absolutely stunning. I'm in love. I'd do anything to serve this elf lady. Yeah. At Lin Chen, come out here right now. At Lin Chen, you said you wouldn't recruit troops. How did you get a rare, tier elven archer? Elves were universally recognized as rare units. Masters of both magic and archery, and every single elf possessed extraordinary beauty. Lin Chen replied calmly. Correction. She is my hero. A hero? A rare tier hero? Are you joking? What absurd, incredible luck. In the early stages, acquiring high-quality heroes required gambling vast quantities of resources. There was no other way. Zhao Qin quickly appeared in the chat. At Lin Chen, brother Lin Chen, could you take me along sometime? I'll send my territory coordinates to you via private message immediately. Quit pestering Lord Lin Chen with constant at S. He must be busy. Lord Lin Chen, would you take an extra companion? Begging to join you. A single photograph of the elf sent the entire class group into a frenzy. Everyone's attitude toward Lin Chen underwent a complete reversal. To possess a high-tier hero right at the start was an overwhelming advantage. Everyone immediately recalled that Lin Chen had sold 10,000 void energy points earlier, meaning he held a massive stockpile of resources. This top student, who had dominated every simulation exam throughout high school, was clearly executing a long-term master plan. Messages in the class group quickly stacked up to 99 plus, notifications chiming non-stop. Annoyed by the noise, Lin Chen turned off all alert notifications for the holographic panel. Lord Lin Chen, what good news has put you in such high spirits? Ella blinked her emerald eyes, studying her lord curiously. Nothing special. I simply think you are extraordinarily beautiful. Lin Chen replied honestly without thinking. The moment the words left his mouth, he hesitated. Elves were known for their pride. Would such a forward comment come across as frivolous? To his surprise, Ella showed no offense at all. Instead, a bright smile bloomed across her lovely face. Thank you for your compliment, my lord. Notification. Your sincere praise has lifted Ella's mood. Loyalty +1. Current loyalty, 75. That works too? Lin Chen looked at Ella's exquisite face close at hand and swallowed quietly. According to the hidden rules of the Myriad Realms continent, once the loyalty of recruited civilians or heroes exceeded 90 points, he met Ella's clear emerald gaze, then looked away with a flicker of guilt. Best to focus on urgent matters first. A level 1 Lord Crystal came with strict limitations. He could build a maximum of 10 structures, and territory was capped at 10 basic grid spaces. Expanding territory followed simple rules. If no wild monsters occupied an area, and the Lord remained standing there for 5 full minutes. One condition remained. Newly conquered land had to share a border with existing territory. Lin Chen currently held only a single basic territory tile, the square where the central Lord Crystal rested. The core crystal could not be moved, fixed firmly in place. It could only be relocated if the extremely rare territory relocation card was used. Protecting the core crystal was the highest priority for every lord. If the crystal shattered, the lord's career would end instantly. Without the crystal's protection, the lord became a mortal who could be permanently slain, even captured and enslaved by foreign races for eternity. The crystal was, quite simply, his lifeline. He was still within the 7-day newcomer protection period, so he faced no threat to his base for now. Accompanied by Ella, he began expanding outward from his initial territory. Rather than spreading his land evenly in all directions, he chose due north, carving out a long, straight stretch of territory. Before long, he claimed a strip of land 1,000 meters long and 100 meters wide. Thank you for your hard work, Ella. When steep rock faces blocked their path, Lin Chen once more relied on Ella to carry him upward. He had considered jumping off a cliff to resurrect instantly beside the crystal, but Ella firmly refused to allow it. "It is my honor to serve you, Lord Lin Chen." Ella smiled gently, pushed off powerfully with her legs, and carried Lin Chen effortlessly onto rocks several meters high. After advancing to level 2, her physical strength and stamina had improved dramatically. Following that straight path, Lin Chen captured 9 more territory grids in one go. For an ordinary lord, expanding territory into a long, narrow serpent formation was tantamount to suicide. If wild monsters attacked the far border, the lord would be unable to rush back in time to defend it. If monsters remained on claimed territory for longer than 1 minute, the system would mark the land as lost and destroy every structure built upon it. Yet Lin Chen remained completely unconcerned. For now, he only cared about extending his exploration range. Roar! A mutant wasteland wolf burst out of the gray mist and landed on the newly claimed territory farthest from the Lord Crystal. Its howl died halfway. Swish! 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 8 massive black steel arrows cut through the sky, traveling a full kilometer to pierce the wolf's body simultaneously. It did not even have time to utter a final cry before it fell dead. The 8 black iron arrow towers stationed at the 4 corners of his territory demonstrated terrifying firepower. Amplified tenfold by his worldly vitality and innate skill, the maximum range of the black iron arrow towers had increased 10 times over. Ella stared on in utter shock. At first, she had thought her lord's method of expanding in a single straight line was foolish. She never imagined the arrow towers back at base could strike from such an immense distance. It defied all common sense. Even as a mythic archer herself, now only level 2, she could not guarantee accurate shots over 1,000 meters. Yet ordinary defensive towers pulled it off with ease. In that instant, Lin Chen appeared mysterious and unfathomable in Ella's eyes. Notification: Ella holds sincere awe after witnessing your extraordinary power. Loyalty +1. Current loyalty, 76. Lin Chen, who had been preparing to upgrade the crystal, glanced confusedly at Ella. He paid it no mind and opened the control panel directly. Upgrading the level 1 Lord Crystal to level 2 required 2 strict conditions: spending 5,000 void energy points and occupying all 10 territory grids. Both requirements were now fulfilled. Upgrade. Brilliant sapphire light wrapped around the palm-sized diamond-shaped crystal. As the light swirled, the core crystal visibly grew larger, radiating an even brighter glow. Notification: congratulations. Your Central Lord Crystal has successfully advanced to level 2. Unlocked new building blueprints. Reinforced stone wall, primary lumber mill, primary quarry, leather workshop, enchantment workshop. Maximum territory capacity raised to 100 grids. Maximum building limit raised to 100 structures. Defensive building level cap increased to level 20. Unit and hero level cap increased to level 20. Daily automatic void energy production increased to 500 points. Advancing the Lord Crystal from level 1 to level 2 represented a qualitative leap for any new lord. The upgrade conditions were brutally harsh. However, very few could complete it within the 7-day newcomer window. For ordinary people, it would be nearly impossible unless they took drastic measures like Lin Chen and sold their troop blueprints from the start. After all, troop blueprints were most lords' primary early asset. Few could bear to sell them away. Far away, on a territory amid the plains, an incredibly beautiful young woman in a long white dress sat atop a thick tree trunk. She watched the group chat feed on her terminal and bit her soft lip. This fool, why did he sell his troop blueprint? Humph, he's getting far too cocky just because he summoned a rare tier elven hero. Looking at the photograph of Ella's long legs displayed on the panel, an inexplicable surge of irritation welled up within her. She lifted her gaze toward the enormous beast circling high above her territory, a frost dragon. Lin Chen, just you wait. No one suspected that the owner of the Frost Dragon, the fabled legendary tier unit spoken of across the regional channel, was this stunning young woman. Her identity was far from ordinary. She was Chu Chanxian, daughter of the Supreme Commander of the Blue Star Federation. This legendary Frost Dragon encampment had been secured as a guaranteed reward by the Federation, who sacrificed 10,000 troop blueprints to unlock it for her. Within this brutal myriad races continent, some were born already standing in Rome. Such was reality. After upgrading the Central Crystal, the cap on the number of buildings rose to 100. Lin Chen's next goal was to fill his entire territory with constructions. As for the level of defense towers, he did not need to worry about them for the time being. Thanks to the passive bonus of life's vigor, the more structures he built, the stronger their attributes became. However, his reserves of void energy were completely depleted, far too little to fill all 100 building slots. So he honestly deducted 100 points of energy to construct a simple cottage, planning to recruit several peasants first. The 10-square-meter cottage could not only recruit logistics staff, but also raise the population cap by 2 points. Even if no recruits were summoned, it could serve as quarters for combat units. Cottages fell into the same category as the Spirit Altar. Neither possessed numerical levels. The Spirit Altar was divided into 6 tiers: common, fine, rare, epic, legendary, and mythic. The higher the tier, the greater the chance of summoning top-tier heroes. Cottages, meanwhile, came in 5 grades: wooden hut, stone dwelling, refined courtyard, high-class apartment, and luxurious villa. Upgrading the grade boosted the work efficiency of recruited peasants and expanded the population cap. As for unit barracks, their quality was fixed and could not be improved through upgrades. Lin Shun had no intention of producing combat units at all. They consumed population resources. For now, 1 cottage would suffice. Staring at the pale golden sacred aura swirling around the cottage, Lin Shun knew the tenfold amplification from the life's vigor ability was in effect. Recalling the stunning golden light that had emanated from the Spirit Altar, he rubbed his hands together and muttered expectantly. 10 consecutive summons. Whoosh! A blinding flash of white light erupted. 10 figures stepped out of the cramped cottage one after another. The 5 male peasants were towering, their muscles bulging, resembling human war beasts. The 5 female peasants stood tall and lithe, dressed in sturdy linen garments, their well-toned limbs brimming with explosive power. Lin Shun stared blankly at these burly men, then glanced at fists larger than sandbags. How could anyone call these people peasants? We greet our lord. The 5 men and 5 women dropped to their knees in perfect unison and shouted in loud, resonant voices. The sound reverberated all around. They already knew how to show proper respect the moment they appeared. Lin Shun was quite surprised. He casually opened the status panel of one of the burly men. Name: Wang Gang. Identity: basic peasant. Gender: male. Talent traits: maxed innate strength, maxed rapid logging, maxed efficient mining, maxed master construction, maxed expert maintenance. Current loyalty: 100 ready to die for their lord. After reading the panel, Lin Shun gasped. Not only did they possess fully mastered professional skills, their loyalty was maxed out at 100 points. In the continent of all realms, once a subordinate's loyalty exceeded 90, raising it any further was harder than climbing to the heavens. A perfect loyalty score of 100 meant that even if Lin Shun's central crystal shattered and he lost his title as lord, these people would not hesitate to shield him from blades, or spend their entire lives in seclusion to avenge him. How had summoning ordinary laborers yielded subordinates with maximum loyalty? Lin Shun thought for a moment and instantly understood. Power amplified tenfold by the domain force flooded the cottage, drastically enhancing the physical capabilities of the peasants. With nowhere else for the excess domain force to go, it had all poured into boosting their loyalty. Well done. Continue to serve diligently from now on. We obey. We shall lay down our lives for you. Satisfied, Lin Shun spent his last remaining energy to quickly erect a primary logging camp, a primary mining pit, and a leather workshop. He then ordered the 5 male peasants to carve paths into the steep wasteland mountains, creating a gentle stone staircase. He could not keep relying on Ella to carry him and leap off cliffs every time he traveled up and down. It damaged his dignity as lord. Next, he sent the 5 female peasants to dispose of monster corpses along the edge of the gray mist. Fresh meat dropped by beasts was automatically stored within the crystal, yet hides and bones could be processed into special materials via the workshop. No sooner had he issued the orders than a loud bang echoed out. Wang Gang strode toward a boulder blocking the path and threw a straightforward punch. The hard black rock shattered into countless fragments, sending rubble flying everywhere. Down at the foot of the mountain, one of the female peasants demonstrated equally formidable strength. She launched a sweeping kick, and a withered ancient black tree snapped cleanly in two. Lin Shun watched their outrageous approach to labor, stunned for a long time. Were these truly peasants? Judging by their ability to demolish rock formations with their bare hands, his territory barely needed the protection of iron arrow towers. Dust descended. A smooth stone staircase had been carved into the steep wasteland mountains. Several powerfully built peasants, hatchets and axes tucked at their waists, sat around a campfire tearing into roasted meat. By the end of the day, Lin Shun had exhausted every last trace of void energy. An enchanting workshop shimmered faintly on the open ground at the mountain's base. Since the mountain range lacked water sources, Lin Shun traded several barrels of sweet spring water from the interdimensional trade exchange using a small portion of his energy. Gazing at his burgeoning stronghold, Lin Shun bit into sizzling roasted meat, thoroughly content. His territory's development over the first day far exceeded his expectations. Selling unit blueprints in exchange for abundant early resources had been an outstanding deal. During his virtual combat courses back in school, instructors had discussed this strategy of abandoning military units for resources. Yet few lords dared to attempt it in reality. Lin Shun was inherently limited by his talent and incapable of mass-producing troops anyway, so selling the blueprints gave him no qualms. After finishing his meal, Lin Shun enjoyed the evening breeze and opened his class chat channel. Darkness is falling. Monster howls echo everywhere outside. I'm terrified. Quit being a coward. I'm furious. I ordered my summoned militiamen to stand guard overnight, and every single one lost a point of loyalty. Sigh. I lured monsters out as bait today and got killed more than 20 times. Now the sight of wolves makes my legs shake. As long as we can slay beasts, it's worth it so long as our troops survive. Don't even get me started. One of my peasants was wounded by wild monsters. I have no funds for medicine, and loyalty across the whole territory keeps dropping. I'm at my wit's end. You're all fortunate. My initial summon turned out to be goblins. Their loyalty stood at only 65 the moment they appeared, and they nearly revolted on the spot. Reading the flood of complaints, Lin Shun nearly laughed out loud. His own newly summoned laborers boasted maximum loyalty from the start. They also treated Ella, the mythic archer, with immense respect. There was zero risk of unrest. Lin Shun typed a reply. You're all struggling this badly? Did those 3 years of simulated combat lessons go to waste? Whoa, Lin Shun is speaking. Shun, how far has your territory developed after the first day? Lin Shun wasted no words and sent a panoramic photograph of his base. Good heavens, an enchanting workshop? You built such an energy-hungry building on the very first day? I'm lost for words. This is absurd beyond belief. I'm filled with regret. I should have sold my starting blueprint for resources too. Staring at the rows of buildings within Lin Chen's territory, the other students seethed with envy. Trading a potential chance to alter fate for such rapid, steady growth seemed like an ingenious tactic. But they quickly reconsidered. There was nothing steady about it. Lin Chen possessed a rare rank elf hero. Recalling the image of the beautiful elf he had shared that morning, their envy intensified. Lin Chen, you need to check the global forum immediately. Lin Chen, what's going on? Your elf maiden has completely taken over the forum. Numerous wealthy consortium leaders are offering astronomical sums to buy your hero. Lin Chen, not for sale. Someone's already bidding 10 million federal credits. Once the 7-day protection period ends, we gain access to trading with Blue Star. That's 10 million in cash. Lin Chen, I said I will not sell her. I'm amazed. You truly value money lightly. If I had someone that stunning by my side, I wouldn't let her go either. Honestly, I've seen plenty of elf photos posted by rich players on the forum. They're attractive, yet they pale in comparison to your elf. Absolutely. Her beauty and grace are unparalleled. Lin Chen promptly closed the communication screen. Heroes could indeed be transferred to other lords with their master's consent. But he was no fool. He would never sell a mythic great archer. He glanced at Ella sitting beside him, eating roasted meat gently and delicately, and a faint smile tugged at his lips. Night fell. No combat units patrolled the territory. Still, the peasants slept soundly. They had witnessed the terrifying firepower of the Iron Arrow Towers and felt completely safe. Lord, night has arrived. Please return to the cottage to rest. Yes, my lord. We can make do in the workshop for the night. Several rugged men insisted that Lin Shun take the only cottage. There is no need for trouble. My lord may rest within the spirit altar. Ella spoke in her ethereal voice. Once the hero had given her suggestion, the peasants fell silent and nodded respectfully. The 5 men and 5 women split into 2 groups, spreading animal hides on the floors of the logging camp and mining pit to sleep directly on the ground. None dared to claim the cottage for themselves. In truth, there was enough space inside for 2 people to share. However, Lin Shun had no remaining energy to build additional housing. For any other lord, forcing peasants to sleep on bare floors would trigger a sharp loyalty drop. The interior of the spirit altar existed as an independent pocket dimension, furnished with a large, soft velvet bed. Lord Lin Shun, rest now. I will keep watch. Ella stood upright, her slender figure poised beneath her lightweight armor. No need for trouble. Lin Shun scratched the bridge of his nose and ventured, The arrow towers guard every corner of the territory. Not even a fly could slip past. There's no need for a night watch. How about this? You sleep inside the altar, and I make do in the cottage. You are the ruler of this territory. You must not endure the discomfort of a simple cottage. Ella blinked her emerald eyes, utterly earnest. If I allow you to sleep in humble quarters, it would be my failure. Hearing this, Lin Shan glanced at the spacious bed inside the altar. He cleared his throat and said solemnly, "In that case, the bed is more than large enough. We could share it for the night and make do." The moment the words left his mouth, Ella froze. A look of surprise crossed her exquisite face, quickly followed by a faint blush. Notification: your voluntary closeness stirs unfamiliar feelings within Ella. Loyalty +1. Current loyalty, 77. Could this really work? Lin Shan marveled as the loyalty value updated. It was said elven folk possessed simple hearts, and the rumor appeared to hold true. In reality, Ella was far from easy to sway. She only consented because Lin Shan bore the inherent authority of her lord. If any stranger dared to make such a request, her longbow would have loosed arrows to pierce them instantly. The first rays of morning sunlight filtered through cracks in the stone. Notification: you remained proper throughout the night. Ella grows fonder of you. Loyalty +3. Current loyalty, 80. Ella's loyalty rating has risen from dutiful to close companions. Lin Shan roused slowly to the sound of system notifications. As he opened his eyes, he saw Ella at the foot of the bed, donning her vine armor. Sunlight cast a soft glow over her graceful frame and long, straight legs. Lin Shan quickly shut his eyes. If she caught him staring, the loyalty he had worked to raise might plummet. Lord Lin Shan. Ella finished equipping her light armor and called softly. For the entire previous day, aside from helping Lin Shan claim new territory, she had barely exerted herself. The territory's arrow towers were overwhelmingly powerful, leaving no need for her to venture into dangerous battles. This peaceful, comfortable life suited her perfectly. Good morning, Ella. Lin Shan yawned and pretended to have just woken up. He inwardly admired the stunning elf with golden hair illuminated by the morning light. Elsewhere in the region. This is incredible. Flying units make me invincible. A thin young man shouted excitedly as he rode atop a storm griffin, buffeted by rushing winds. Griffins were high-tier units. Flying creatures were an extreme rarity across the continent of all realms. Whoever held air superiority could launch one-sided massacres against ground forces. The greatest advantage of flying units lay in rapid map exploration. Once the fog of war was dispelled, it took a very long time to reform. This thin youth, Zhou Fei, was also a novice lord. Thanks to his griffin's speed, he had cleared the war fog across hundreds of kilometers within a single day. He had even marked the positions of several other rookie lords. Once the 7-day protection period expires, I will raid their bases. Zhou Fei wore a triumphant grin. Plundering other lords granted vast resources, and he could capture attractive women to serve him as servants. As the griffin flew onward, a huge stretch of gray mist vanished out of nowhere ahead. Zhou Fei's eyes lit up. It meant another new lord had established territory nearby. The system would never spawn novice lords near the domains of powerful veterans. This target was undoubtedly easy prey. Mark the location immediately. 7 days from now, the land and everyone within it will belong to me. Zhou Fei thought nothing of the unknown lord. As long as the foe lacked anti-air defenses, he could hurl stones from hundreds of meters above and shatter their central crystal. The Griffin's maximum flight altitude reached 300 meters. Ordinary primary defense towers could not even hope to strike his shadow. Let's fly over for a look. I want to witness their despair. Zhou Fei patted the Griffin's neck and boldly crossed into foreign airspace. Whoosh, whoosh. Before he could make out the buildings below, terrifying sounds of objects cutting through the air erupted. The Storm Griffin did not even have time to cry out. Its body was pierced, and it plummeted straight toward the ground. Zhou Fei's mind went blank. High above the earth, a cold arrow struck precisely through his heart. He died instantly. A flash of white light appeared. Zhou Fei revived beside the central crystal in his own territory, still dazed. What had just happened? Had he been killed by an arrow? What kind of defense tower could reach 300 meters high? After standing stunned for half a minute, Zhou Fei clutched his head and let out a shrill scream. My Griffin! High-tier units cost immense resources to summon. Losing his flying mount pained him deeply. He sank to the ground, overcome with grief. Notification. Your hero Ella has slain the high-tier unit Storm Griffin. Obtained Griffin meat times 10, experience plus 100. Notification. Your hero Ella has advanced to level 3. All attributes increased. At the foot of the Wasteland Mountains, Ella stowed her longbow and halted the Iron Arrow Tower's automatic counterattack. This was free experience delivered right to her door. If the towers claimed the kill, the opportunity would be wasted. Thud! The massive avian corpse crashed onto the black rock, covered in blood. Lin Shan glanced at the kill notification floating in front of him, surprise flickering across his face. A high-tier unit? A Storm Griffin? It meant another rookie lord was exploring the surrounding region. This was excellent news. Lin Shan smiled. Sun Xiaoqiao, lead a team to process the feathers from this beast. As you command, my lord. A tall female peasant strode toward the griffin's corpse. She moved quickly and nimbly, bearing no resemblance to a common farm laborer. Sun Xiaoqiao was the female logistics leader Lin Shan had appointed to manage the other women. Wang Gang led the male peasants responsible for mountain excavation and mining. Seeing Lin Shan's delight, Ella suddenly felt a surge of motivation. She had been rather idle lately, yet she spoke up of her own accord. Lord Lin Shan, I wish to go hunting. Now that her loyalty had reached 80, she sincerely wanted to contribute to Lin Shan. Shooting down a flying beast had brought him joy. She hoped to see him happy every day. Go ahead. Be careful to defend yourself. Lin Shan nodded slightly. This was exactly what he had hoped for. He knew full well that as a mythic archer, Ella could roam freely across the novice zone with little threat. He only needed to ensure nothing happened to damage her loyalty. Sending Ella to clear wild monsters would bring immeasurable benefits for territory expansion. At present, the primary logging camp and mining pit at the mountain base operated at full capacity. If Ella could locate an open iron mine out in the wilderness, his powerful peasants could construct iron arrow towers from timber, stone, and iron, or using nothing but manual labor. This would save vast amounts of precious void energy. Once buildings were erected, the power of laws emanating from the central crystal would sustain their operation naturally. Lin Shan stood atop high ground, watching Ella depart. The maiden leapt lightly off the steep rock face. Gentle wind stirred her radiant golden hair. Her graceful figure moved steadily forward, and soon her elegant silhouette vanished entirely within the dark forest to the north. Sending a mythic rank hero to hunt low-tier wild monsters was simply overkill, and Lin Shan had complete confidence in her. As Ella ventured deeper, vast stretches of gray fog of war were dispelled rapidly, and the territory's field of vision expanded visibly before his eyes. Lin Shan stretched and set about his work. A level 2 central crystal supported a territory limit of 100 blocks. To claim a plot of land, one had to stand upon it and remain stationary for 5 minutes. He had plenty to occupy his time ahead, or rather, he would have little to do besides wait. Notification: your hero Ella has slain the striped tiger. Obtain tiger fresh meat times 10, experience plus 30. It was not long before the system sent word of her victory. Lin Shan found a flat boulder to sit on. While claiming territory, he pondered plans for the future. This desolate mine held distinctive terrain. To the south stretched a bottomless cliff, forming a natural barrier. The eastern and western sides possessed relatively gentle terrain. Barren though it was, there was ample open land. To the north lay the expansive forest where Ella explored, rich in resources. He intended to first annex the flat ground to the east and west, ordering peasants to develop several spirit farmlands to grow fruits and vegetables. Though his 10 peasants each possessed strength rivaling ferocious beasts, farming remained their fundamental trade, a task they were fully capable of undertaking. Notification: your hero Ella has risen to level 4. All attributes receive a substantial boost. It seemed the forest harbored many high-experience wild creatures. Lin Shan sighed to himself. Until he built over 10,000 defensive towers and unlocked their floating mobility, territory buildings could only serve defensive purposes. Meanwhile, Ella's rapidly rising level meant he possessed ever greater strength for outward conquest. He opened the hero panel and glanced at her status. At level 4, Ella's overall combat power had directly broken through the 400 threshold. For reference, this figure could only be matched by level 20 rare rank boss monsters. It was utterly absurd. This meant level 4 Ella could effortlessly overpower ordinary rare heroes of level 20. The foundational talent of a mythic existence represented an insurmountable gap above all others. Elsewhere, Ella's monster-clearing efficiency was terrifying. Her bowstring trembled softly, nearly every arrow delivering an instant kill. She did not even bother activating her skills. Through the spatial traction laws of the central crystal, monster drops were automatically transported to the warehouse regardless of distance the moment a beast perished. Staring at the mountain of fresh meat piling up in storage, Lin Shan allocated 100 units and posted them directly to the interdimensional trade hall. On the first day of colonization, food was a vital commodity. Not every new lord could freely hunt wild monsters as he did. The meat would be snatched up instantly the moment the listing went live. While waiting to claim territory, Lin Shan activated his terminal's holographic projection screen. In the private chat window, Zhao Qin had sent him the exact coordinates of her territory. This young girl lacked any sense of caution. Was she truly unafraid he might march over and seize her domain? Lin Shan shook his head helplessly. He had promised to aid her before descending to this world, and now that his own territory flourished, he would not break his word. Lin Shan, classmate Zhao Qin, we are fairly close to one another. The message had barely been sent when she replied instantly, clearly also with little to occupy her time. Zhao Qin, really? Brother Lin Shan, please carry me. Lin Shan, yes, roughly 50 kilometers apart. Zhao Qin, 50 kilometers, that's still so far. I guess you won't be able to shield me from the monster siege QAQ. Lin Shan, did you actually expect me to hold back the monster tide for you? The first beast tide arriving once the 7-day newcomer protection period expired represented a life or death trial every lord must face. The system would distribute rewards based on defense performance. Only those who endured could truly call themselves lords. Zhao Qin, I'm so afraid I won't survive the first wave and perish. Lin Shan, what troop camp did you randomly obtain at the start? Zhao Qin, the Bright Monastery. I can only recruit healing nuns. Lin Shan raised an eyebrow. Healing nuns were rare rank support units. Capable of group healing and applying buffs, they solved a critical early game hazard. Whenever civilians or heroes sustained injuries without treatment, their loyalty plummeted. With nuns at hand, this risk vanished entirely. Yet nuns were the most unwanted starting unit among new lords for a simple reason. Their combat capability was nearly non-existent. In a fight, they could not even defeat ordinary farming peasants. Unable to venture out to hunt monsters, they merely consumed food and occupied population slots, offering no practical value in the early phase. Lin Shan, why haven't you mentioned this in the class group chat? Zhao Qin, I dare not. I'm afraid others will target me. Lin Shan, aren't you worried I will target you? You sent me the coordinates of your base without hesitation. Zhao Qin, hee. I trust only brother Lin Shan. It appeared the class chat held many secrets. Numerous players who had drawn top-tier troops chose to lie low. On the surface, Chu Qianxian's Frost Dragon attracted all attention, yet countless powerful competitors remained hidden in the shadows. Lin Shan tapped his panel a few times and sent a new order to the rampaging Ella, instructing her to slightly alter her route. Zhao Qin's territory lay to the northwest. If Ella activated wind element acceleration, she could reach it in under an hour at her speed. The girl commanded rare healing nuns, making her well worth investing in. Though his own talent restricted mass troop production, sending Ella to command other lords' high-rank armies for combat seemed a brilliant workaround to exploit the system's loopholes. Ella, Lord Lin Shan, I have discovered a large freshwater river ahead. Lin Shan, mark its location immediately. Ella, as you command. A simple change of direction had led him straight to a valuable discovery. Overjoyed, Lin Shan resolved to expand his territory in a straight line toward the northwest. Access to a steady water source meant he would no longer need to waste resources purchasing water from the trade hall. Notification: your hero Ella has slain mutant White Wolf. Obtained White Wolf fresh meat times 5, experience plus 30. Notification: your hero Ella has slain mutant White Wolf. Obtained White Wolf fresh meat times 5, experience plus 30. Notification: your hero Ella has slain the boss tier monster, Blizzard White Wolf King. Obtained Wolf King fresh meat times 10, experience plus 100. Notification: your hero Ella has risen to level 5. All attributes receive a substantial boost. A flood of system notifications scrolled non-stop. Clearly, Ella had wiped out a medium-sized wild monster nest. Notification: your hero Ella has slain the legendary tier leader monster, Azure Cloud Sky Dragon. Obtain Dragon Beast fresh meat times 100, experience plus 10,000, void energy plus 5,000. Notification: your hero Ella has risen to level 6. Notification: your hero Ella has risen to level 7. Lin Shan stared at the hologram, thoroughly confused. He had just been wondering whether he could raise Ella to level 10 within 7 days. In the blink of an eye, she had gained 2 levels consecutively. What was going on? She had killed a legendary leader? The Northwest region was incredibly blessed. Legendary monsters were extraordinarily rare. Finding even one within hundreds of kilometers counted as immense luck. Who could have imagined that a simple route change would let Ella encounter such a prize and slay it single-handedly? Lin Shun, thanks. Zhao Qin. After sending the confusing two-word reply to the bewildered girl, Lin Shun could not suppress a laugh. He immediately issued orders summoning Sun Qiao and the 9 other strong peasants. Grab your tools. Follow the safe path cleared by Ella and bring the dragon's corpse back here. Every part of a legendary monster's body was supreme crafting material. With Ella having eliminated all wild creatures along the route, the peasants faced zero danger during collection. When Zhao Qin saw Lin Chen's message reading, "Thanks," her heart skipped a beat and anxiety welled up. She instinctively sent 3 question marks, yet received no further reply for a long while. Could Brother Lin Shun be targeting me personally? Zhao Qin's eyes grew watery. She had only hoped to latch onto a powerful ally to develop safely, not surrender herself entirely. Having arrived in the Myriad Realms continent, she dreamed of becoming a lord herself. In her fantasies, she would wave her hand and command legions to conquer all lands, reigning as a mighty empress. Though the dream seemed unrealistic, and she was fond of good food and rest, she refused to give up so easily, let alone hand over her hard-built territory to others. Zhao Qin waited anxiously for a reply that never came. She heaved a long sigh, seeming to resign herself to fate. To preserve her territory, she was even willing to sign a vassal contract and obey Lin Chen faithfully. With a heavy heart, she sent another private message. Brother Lin Chen, do you want my territory, or do you want me? As a school beauty, she had confidence in her appearance. She hoped Lin Chen would spare her out of their old classmate bond and refrain from taking everything for himself. If Lin Chen attacked and shattered her central crystal, she would lose her status as a lord and become his possession completely. The more she thought about it, the greater her fear grew. Lin Chen. Seeing the 3 question marks, Zhao Qin froze, her big watery eyes filled with confusion. What did those question marks mean? Could it be he intended to claim both her territory and herself? Despair washed over Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin, Brother Lin Chen, I beg you, do not attack me. Lin Chen, what dramatic act are you putting on? Zhao Qin, you, aren't you planning to capture me to serve you? Lin Chen, what would I gain from pursuing that? Zhao Qin, honor demanded she resist humiliation. Reading his reply, Zhao Qin nearly flew into a rage. Yet remembering how overwhelmingly powerful Lin Chen was, her anger faded instantly. Humph, if I hadn't drawn a monastery that only produces prayer-reciting nuns at the start, I would have fought you head-on, no matter how strong you are. Zhao Qin grumbled inwardly, yet remained outwardly timid. Zhao Qin, then, what exactly do you want? Are you after my monastery? Lin Chen, didn't you beg me to help you? Why bring up all this nonsense? Lin Chen, I have no reason to attack you. Zhao Qin, huh? Zhao Qin, then why did you suddenly send that message saying thanks? Lin Chen, oh, I'm thanking you for sharing your coordinates, which prompted my hero to change her exploration path. Lin Chen, she chanced upon a legendary leader monster along the way and killed it, dropping many valuable resources. Gasp. Zhao Qin drew a sharp breath upon reading the message. Her overwhelming sense of crisis vanished, replaced by utter shock. It was only the 2nd day since arrival, and he had slain a legendary leader monster? What unbelievable feat! Legendary tier creatures were terrifying. Even a level 1 boss monster of this rank was unbeatable for new lords in this early phase. The stats of a legendary leader monster could surpass even legendary heroes of the same tier. Within the Myriad Realms continent, heroes possessed combat power dozens or hundreds of times greater than ordinary troops. A single legendary leader monster was akin to an invincible demon for players at this stage. Sending hundreds of ordinary soldiers to fight it would amount to nothing more than feeding it. Zhao Qin's fingers trembled as she typed her next line. How high level was the monster? She felt as if she had discovered an unimaginably powerful patron she must cling to tightly. Lin Chen, not especially high, only level 10. Level 10. How could he call that low? It was merely the 2nd day. When tiers matched, leader monsters easily overpowered heroes, and the stat gap widened drastically with each level. For instance, 10 level 1 militiamen could gang up and defeat a level 1 hero, yet defeating a level 10 hero would require dozens of high-tier level 10 troops. The disparity grew even more extreme in later stages. A max-level hero could single-handedly raise cities and conquer nations. In other words, defeating a level 10 legendary leader demanded at minimum an entire platoon of level 10 legendary troops. No new lord could afford to feed such a large army or obtain rare materials to upgrade barracks. Not to mention how few players began with legendary barracks. Wait, a thought struck Zhao Qin. She frantically scrolled back through their chat logs. She clearly recalled Lin Shin selling his troop blueprint for resources right at the start, publicly stating he would never rely on mass troop production. Everyone initially thought he was bluffing or planning to waste away in the mine. But now, Zhao Qin reopened the widely circulated photo of the elven archer shared across the global forum. A frightening guess formed in her mind. Could Brother Lin Shin's hero be far more than just rare rank? Zhao Qin swallowed hard, her throat dry. To solo a level 10 legendary leader, the hero needed to be at minimum a level 10 legendary hero. A legendary hero? Zhao Qin went completely numb. That explained everything. While countless wealthy players showed off their elven troops on the global channel, none possessed anyone half as striking as the golden-haired elf in the photo. She was no common rare unit, but a supreme legendary existence above all mortal creatures, and a unique hero, not mass-produced soldiers. Zhao Qin sank to the ground and laughed dazedly. She suddenly wondered, would it truly be such a bad fate to join forces with Lin Shin? A life alongside a future overlord of realms sounded far better than struggling endlessly to farm resources alone. Unfortunately, Brother Lin Shin seemed uninterested in her. Sigh, why couldn't my summoning altar produce such an extraordinary being? Zhao Qin sighed, glancing toward her only powerful unit, a high-tier human swordsman, a sword dancer skilled in graceful but impractical flourishes. Drawing a rare rank monastery capable of producing healing nuns, plus a high-tier hero guaranteed by the summoning altar. Zhao Qin possessed a starting setup superior to 99% of new lords, genuine incredible luck. Yet sometimes great fortune could turn into disaster. Lin Shin watched the live footage transmitted back by Ella through the terminal and swore under his breath. Damn it. Ella had advanced all the way to the edge of Zhao Qin's territory, and by sheer misfortune, encountered an epic tier leader monster. Her luck was beyond belief. Epic wild monsters rarely spawned, sometimes not appearing within thousands of kilometers. To put this in perspective, the equatorial circumference of Earth measured roughly 40,000 kilometers. Based on monster spawn rules of the Myriad Realms continent, an entire habitable planet might only host 2 or 3 epic creatures in total. And now this terrifying beast lingered directly outside Zhao Qin's territory. Lin Shin could not decide if Zhao Qin was absurdly lucky or cursed. Without meeting him, her odds of surviving were close to zero. Once the 7-day protection period expired, the monastery would be trampled without mercy. Lin Shin sent a screenshot of the monster to her. Lin Shin. Image attached. Open and take a look. Zhao Qin. Abyss Flame Whelp leader. Tier, Epic. Level, 15. Description. Pureblood dragon whelp originating from the abyssal demon realm, prowling in search of prey. Zhao Qin was utterly stunned. Staring at the image of the terrifying beast wreathed in black, demonic flames, she could see only a brief introduction. Unable to access its full stat panel, familiar outlines of buildings peeked out faintly in the background, the structures of her monastery. Zhao Qin. Brother Lin Shin, save me. To have a level 15 epic leader camp outside her territory at the start of the game was truly terrible luck. Her grand dream of ruling as an empress was about to be crushed beneath a dragon's claws, and Zhao Qin felt tears stream down her cheeks. Having confirmed Zhao Qin's coordinates, Lin Shin immediately ordered Ella to retreat along her previous path and avoid provoking the Abyss Dragon at all costs. Though Ella was a peak mythic hero, her current level remained too low. The level 15 epic leader would prove an extremely difficult opponent. By Ella's own estimation, she would need to reach level 10 to stand a solid chance of fighting the dragon head-on. However, if they could lure the dragon back to his territory, Lin Shin had absolute confidence his fully upgraded Iron Arrow Tower formation would shoot it full of arrows. The problem lay in the lengthy process required to draw the monster here, and he was unwilling to risk his elven hero undertaking such a dangerous task. If he got hit by a dragon's breath along the way, all his efforts would be for nothing. He could deal with it once Ella's level rose. As for asking Lin Shin to act as bait himself, forget it. It would be like running a 50-kilometer marathon. The beast would not even spare him a glance. A single blast of black flame would reduce him to ashes. Leave it be for now, Lin Shin said. Let's process the materials we've gathered first. As long as we slay it before the protection period expires, we will easily secure first place in the point rankings for the first monster siege wave. Lin Shin muttered as he stared at the mountain of top-tier materials before him. All of these were spoils from Azure Cloud Water Dragon. The legendary boss Ella had defeated single-handedly. Snow white, translucent dragon scales were light as a feather, yet unbreakable, perfect for forging superior inner armor. 2 blue glinting dragon horns were razor-sharp. With a little polishing, they would become peerless divine weapons. The highly flexible dragon sinew was a rare treasure for crafting top-tier bowstrings. Unfortunately, fire and water could not harm it, nor could blades cut through it. The brawny laborers stationed at the base lacked the skill to process it, so Ella would have to handle the task upon her return. There were also 2 dragon eyes brimming with dense water elemental energy, plus an intact dragon skeleton that could serve as the foundation for territorial constructions. Shortly afterward, Ella traced her path back to the base. "Good work," Lin Chen greeted her with a smile. "It is my honor to ease your burdens, my lord." Ella bowed slightly. After sweeping the wilderness all morning, she longed to find a place to rest. She casually sat down on the black stone slab beside Lin Chen. Her cool pale green skirt was dust-streaked, and her long, fair legs rested neatly together. A faint pleasant fragrance drifted toward him. Lin Chen paused. He had always thought the claim that women smelled sweet after exertion was nonsense. Yet Ella's scent was genuinely delightful. Was this an elven racial trait? Or a natural aura unique to mythic rank beings? Lin Chen shook off stray thoughts, pulled the tough dragon sinew from the pile of materials, and held it out to her. "Ella, none of the others can cut this. Could you help process it? Leave it to me." Ella drew a gleaming short blade from the outer side of her slender thigh and asked softly, "What do you plan to make with this dragon sinew, Lord Lin Chen?" Lin Chen stroked his chin and glanced toward the black iron arrow tower not far away. If he could fit the dragon sinew onto the defense tower, its lethality would surge drastically. Sadly, ordinary fine steel bow frames could not withstand the terrifying tensile force of legendary dragon sinew. Attempting such a modification would only end in catastrophic failure. Sensing Lin Chen's hesitation, Ella spoke up voluntarily. "Lord Lin Chen, if you have no immediate use for it, why not let me forge a battle bow for you?" "A weapon for me?" Lin Chen looked surprised. Ella's loyalty had only recently surpassed 80 points, and she was already offering to craft equipment for him of her own accord. "Yes." Ella smiled brightly, her stunning face glowing under the sunlight. "Once we slay that epic flame whelp, we can extract its spinal bone to use as the bow frame. I will craft a genuine epic rank battle bow for you. I would be grateful for your hard work." Lin Chen was overjoyed and wanted to show his gratitude. Still, he feared any abrupt gesture might discomfort the elven beauty. In the end, he lifted his hand and gently brushed a speck of dust from the vine armor on Ella's shoulder with his sleeve. Ella's radiant golden hair and flawless pale skin seemed wrapped in a sacred aura, untouched by grime. Only her garments bore traces of the wilderness, a reminder that this breathtaking being stood before him in the mortal world. Lin Chen grew slightly dazed at the close sight of her exquisite features. The sleeve brushed lightly against the edge of her vine armor. Notification: your gentle gesture stirred Ella's heart. Loyalty +1. Current loyalty, 81. Feeling the soft texture beneath his fingertips, Lin Chen pulled his hand back abruptly. Blush crept across the tips of her translucent elven ears. Ahem. Lin Chen opened his mouth, wanting to explain, but chose to stay silent. He breathed a quiet sigh of relief upon seeing her loyalty rise rather than drop. Still, he dared not push his luck. Matters like this required steady progress. If he grew overbearing, her loyalty would not increase any further. It had not been his intention just now. He could only blame the elf's incredibly graceful physique. Ella raised her fair, delicate hand to tuck golden hair behind her ear, hiding her warm ear tips. She knew the Lord's action had been unintentional and held no resentment. Watching Lin Chen's awkward demeanor, a hint of mischief flickered within her clear emerald eyes. In the afternoon, Ella set out to explore the map once more. She adjusted her route this time, advancing toward the towering mountains to the northeast. Soon after, a welcome notification appeared on his terminal. An open-air iron mine has been discovered. Lin Chen was ecstatic. He had finally found iron ore. Without delay, he poured all his energy into territorial expansion, frantically claiming land stretching northeast. After an entire afternoon of labor, Lin Chen's territory reached the secondary tier limit, 100 plots, covering a full 1,000,000 square meters, equivalent to more than 100 standard football fields. Viewed from above, however, the territory shape looked rather odd. A large river lay to the northwest, and the Iron Mountain Range sat to the northeast. To secure both vital resources, Lin Chen stretched 2 long, narrow corridors outward starting from the core crystal. Most lords expanded outward in circular layers for easier defense. Lin Chen's territory, by contrast, resembled a split slingshot or a pair of elongated rabbit ears. Other lords would undoubtedly mock such a layout as a foolish choice. How could anyone defend such a long, thinly manned border. Yet blessed by his mythic talent Life's Dominion, which granted tenfold range, every black iron arrow tower within his territory functioned as an ultra-long-range heavy artillery piece. Lin Chen had nothing to fear, trading flexible swarms of units for exponentially stronger territorial defenses. Only 2 days into this world, this wasteland mine was already taking shape as an impregnable iron fortress. Lin Chen's territory was like a great beast lying dormant on the wilds, ready to tear apart any invader once war broke out. Upon receiving orders, 10 robust farmers rushed to the front lines and began mining iron ore relentlessly. Raw ore was quickly transported back to the base and refined into high-purity fine steel ingots inside the enchanting workshop. Wooden carts loaded with refined steel trundled along carved stone steps toward the mountain peak. Farmers then piled collected stone, lumber, and steel blocks around the first black iron arrow tower ever built. Construction upgrades commenced. Defensive structures manifested via the core crystal could be forcibly elevated in rank as long as sufficient matching basic materials were supplied. Notification: consumed basic stone times 10, basic lumber times 10, fine steel ingot times 1. Congratulations! Your black iron arrow tower has risen to level 2. All attributes improved. He kept pouring in materials. Congratulations! Your black iron arrow tower has risen to level 3. All attributes improved. Congratulations! Your black iron arrow tower has risen to level 5. All attributes improved. By dusk, stockpiled lumber and steel were nearly exhausted. The first level 5 black iron arrow tower stood proudly atop the mining peak. Black iron arrow tower. Current level 5. HP 605 base HP 50 boosted by will of the lone wolf. Attack 60 base attack 5 boosted by will of the lone wolf. Defense 60 base defense 5 boosted by will of the lone wolf. The stats of a level 5 black iron arrow tower outmatched even high-tier defense towers above level 20. Lin Chen concentrated all available resources to max out one tower first as a precaution. What if a mythic boss spawned near the edge of his mist? The epic dragon at Zhao Qin's territory served as a stark warning. He needed a trump card capable of turning the tide. Tomorrow, I will fill all 100 building plots. Lin Chen waved, signaling the hard-working laborers to rest after a long day. He walked alone toward the interdimensional trading post. The development of his territory far exceeded his expectations. Whether the outstanding work efficiency of his villagers or the numerous mineral veins Ella uncovered, everything proceeded far too smoothly. He intended to seize this momentum and upgrade the core crystal as soon as possible, unlocking more land and building capacity. However, advancing the secondary core crystal to tertiary required occupying all 100 plots plus a full 50,000 void energy points. He had planned to tackle this after the 7-day novice protection period, yet his rapid development forced him to make preparations early. After brief thought, Lin Chen retrieved a pair of water blue glowing orbs from his storage space and placed them on the trading post consignment window. Azure Cloud Water Dragon Eyes. Rank: Legendary. Description: Dragon eyes containing vast water elemental laws, prime crafting materials for top-tier staffs. Item grading across the multiverse continent matched unit classification: common white, advanced blue, rare purple, legendary gold, epic dark gold, mythic brilliant prismatic. At that very moment, on the trading interfaces of all newly arrived lords, a dazzling golden item name surged upward without pause, landing firmly at the very top of every list. Unless buyers set specific search filters, trading post items were sorted strictly by rank. The bold golden characters, Azure Cloud Water Dragon Eyes, were impossible to overlook. A legendary material? It's only the second day of the server. Who on earth pulled this off? A towering orc lord covered in striped markings stared at the hologram, eyes bulging. He was a novice lord from the Orc Star sector. Legendary. A fascinating contender has emerged among this batch of trial participants. A horned, crimson-skinned demon narrowed his eyes with a solemn expression. He was a novice lord of the Abyss Demons. He, putting a legendary treasure up for sale so early, an attempt to intimidate everyone. A translucent ghost hovered in midair and let out a shrill cackle. He was a novice lord of the spectral realm. How dare they openly sell dragon eyes? This is an insult to the noble dragon race. A young half-dragon covered in cyan scales trembled with rage and roared. He was a vassal lord of the pure-blood dragonkin. The countless civilizations and races of the boundless cosmos filled this world. The number of lords transported to the endless continent rivaled the stars. At this instant, regardless of location or race, Everyone was stunned by the golden name atop the trading post. The regional chat channel erupted. Good heavens. Someone's already putting up legendary materials. Does that mean this player's soloed a dragon? No way anyone has that kind of combat power on day 2. Impossible. He must have exploited a bug or some system loophole. Is he just absurdly lucky and stumbled upon a dead dragon? Lin Chen's Blue Star class group chat descended into chaos as well. Having learned from past gossip after selling unit blueprints at a high price, Lin Chen hid his ID when listing the Dragon Eyes. 100,000 void energy? This guy is delusional. Energy is more precious than life in the early game. Who would pay such an outrageous price? Even if we pooled resources from every lord in the region, I doubt we could scrape together 100,000. Don't be so sure. Rumor says some corporate-backed recruits started with thousands of energy points in their starter packs. Detestable capitalists. Maybe he traded favors in the real world to get this special item? Nonsense. Novice packs only offer blueprints and 1,000 energy maximum. This is definitely loot earned from combat. Lin Chen leaned against the crystal, enjoying the lively chatter, when a private message notification popped up on his terminal. It was Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin. Watching the whole region stir over you from behind your screen must feel satisfying. Lin Chen. Zhao Qin. Hee, just joking. Brother Lin Chen, don't forget to clear the monster outside my territory. Lin Chen. No problem. Zhao Qin. Are you truly confident fighting it? It's a level 15 epic boss. Lin Chen. If you doubt my ability, I can always skip it. Zhao Qin. I believe in you completely. Brother Lin Chen is the best. Moi. Zhao Qin, who had resigned herself to despair moments earlier, regained all her motivation. What an amazing powerhouse. She mumbled, lying on the simple wooden bed of her monastery and hugging her pillow with a grin. Night fell. Though Azure Cloud Water Dragon Eyes sparked a sensation across the multiverse chat, it remained unsold. High-tier crafting materials had little practical value this early in the game. Every lord knew how vital void energy was during initial expansion. Few possessed both the immense wealth and reckless boldness to spend 100,000 energy on a pair of orbs they could not yet use. Lin Chen was in no hurry. In the boundless multiverse, wealthy buyers with deep pockets were never scarce. After washing up, he headed straight for the hero barracks. As soon as he pushed open the door, he met Ella, who was changing clothes. Having removed her green vine armor and battle skirt from the day, Ella sat on the edge of the bed clad only in a thin silk undergarment. Soft pale skin caught the faint glow of the firelight. Startled by Lin Chen's entrance, she quickly grabbed a down robe sewn by Sun Xiaoqiao and wrapped it around herself. My lord, I shall retire for the night. The normally composed elven archer grew flustered and scrambled under the covers. Lin Chen was equally flustered. In the quiet barracks room, he could distinctly hear his own racing heartbeat. He exhaled slowly, moving gently as he settled onto his own bed on the opposite side. Sharing a room with the stunning mythic elf meant this night would likely bring little sleep. Silvery moonlight streamed through gaps in the stone window, casting a soft glow over Ella's spread golden hair. Lin Chen's gaze grew hazy. Once he heard steady, even breathing beside him, he relaxed and drifted off to sleep. The third day of expansion. Notification: your casual movement during rest caught Ella's attention. Loyalty +5. Current loyalty, 86. Lin Chen's eyes flew open. He glimpsed Ella putting on her armor beside him and quickly squeezed his eyes shut again. What was this? Casual movement during rest. Had his actions last night been noticed? If she had realized what he did, why had her loyalty increased instead of falling? Lin Chen's thoughts raced nervously. Lord Lin Chen, it is time to rise. Ella called to him softly as usual. Good morning, Ella. Lin Chen stretched lazily and sat up, maintaining a calm expression as if nothing unusual had transpired the night before. Ella turned toward him and offered a gentle smile. Notification: your consigned item, Azure Cloud Sky, Dragon's Eye, has been successfully sold. You have obtained 100,000 void energy. As soon as he stepped out of the room, the system alert echoed in his mind. A windfall of 100,000 energy arrived instantly. Without hesitation, Lin Chen immediately allocated 50,000 points of energy and channeled them into the Lord's Core Crystal. Congratulations! Your Lord's Core Crystal has been upgraded to level 3. New construction blueprints unlocked. Basic mess hall, granite pavement, leisure chamber, mysterious shop. Territory expansion cap raised to 500 plots. Maximum number of territorial buildings increased to 500. Level cap for defensive facilities lifted to level 30. Level cap for troops and heroes raised to level 30. Daily base void energy income, 2,000 points. Reaching a level 3 territory marked a transformative leap forward. Lin Chun waved his hand and expended energy to materialize 9 brand new cottages across the flat ground. Combined with his initial constructions, his total population capacity broke through 30. He could not even gather a scrap of cotton, so there was no way to make farmers build system-recognized furnished cottages by hand. Recruit all available slots. Bright teleportation light burst forth from all 10 cottages. Muscular, powerfully built men strode out one after another. "We greet you, Lord. You may rise." 19 farmers emerged in this recruitment batch, 10 men and 9 women. Together with his original 10 settlers and the hero Ella, the territory's population hit full capacity. "Wang Gang," Lin Chun called out. The burly man who had been hauling boulders nearby dropped his load and rushed over at top speed. "Lord," Wang Gang reporting. "What are your orders?" "Take the newly arrived settlers. Do nothing else today. Focus fully on constructing Iron Arrow towers. Build 100 towers before nightfall." "It shall be done." Wang Gang shouted his acknowledgement and led the massive workforce off to begin construction. Laying down a matrix of defensive towers was the highest priority, so the newly recruited women also joined the labor force. Lin Chun smiled with satisfaction, watching the crew work tirelessly. He then noticed Ella standing beside him. A twinge of unease stirred within him. Would his strict, demanding management leave the noble elf thinking he was an overbearing taskmaster? In the early settlement phase, building essential infrastructure is their duty. Once the territory prospers, they will enjoy easier lives, Lin Chun offered tentatively. Ella saw right through his worries and chuckled softly. "My duty is to eliminate all threats and safeguard your safety, while you oversee logistics and development. Lord Lin Chun, I am heading out to hunt. Stay safe." Her graceful figure bounded lightly over jagged rock formations and vanished into the shadowy northern forest in the blink of an eye. After seeing Ella off, Lin Chun began planning how to spend his remaining stock of void energy. Advancing the core crystal to level 4 was out of the question for now. The leap from level 3 to level 4 was a critical watershed. "I'll build the mysterious shop first. I can buy rice and fresh vegetables to improve meals for Wang Gang and the others." Lin Chun spent 5,000 void energy and issued the construction command on an open stretch of land atop the hill. The mysterious shop stocked random rare treasures from countless realms, restocking automatically once per day. Light flashed, and a simple, doorless wooden hut covering only 10 square meters rose from the ground. Full of anticipation, Lin Chun walked to the window and scanned the day's merchandise list. It was filled with low-grade junk. He promptly deducted 200 void energy and clicked to refresh the inventory. No way. A crystal glowing with soft, iridescent light rested quietly on the merchandise panel. High-grade Hero's Heart. This item could upgrade the hero camp and permanently raise the territory's hero capacity limit. Hero's Heart. Rank. High grade. Effect. Upgrades the hero camp into a hero hall. Territory hero capacity limit +1. Price. 30,000 void energy. Lin Chun, however, would not let this opportunity slip away. Suppressing his excitement, he purchased the high-grade Hero's Heart without hesitation. Begin the upgrade. The iridescent crystal dissolved into stardust, forming a brilliant pillar of light that enveloped the hut where Lin Chun and Ella resided. The hero camp transformed beneath the radiance, finally stabilizing as the high-rank hero hall. Lin Chun nodded approvingly at the grand new hall. He built an additional small hut nearby to add 2 more population slots. Drawing a deep breath, he raised his right hand in a solemn stance and shouted loudly, "Recruit!" Boom! A deafening explosion rippled outward across the wasteland mine. Every farmer hauling construction materials froze and stared toward the hilltop in shock. The wind died. The trees fell silent. Clouds drifted apart. Everything in the world seemed to pause. Only light surged forward. A blazing artificial sun materialized high in the sky, outshining the true sun overhead. Sacred white light cascaded down onto the hero hall. Then the pillar of light shattered like crystal. All light in the world appeared drawn toward her, coalescing into silvery, white sacred armor wrapping her frame. Her entire form was immaculately pure. 3 pairs of snow-white wings spread behind her. Notification: you have obtained a mythic rank hero unit, Sacred Radiance Archangel. Sacred Radiance Archangel, Michael Isabella. Current level, 1 base combat power, 100. Exclusive skills: Radiant Glory, Absolute Shelter, Sword of Judgment. Current loyalty, 70, Dutiful and Angel. The angelic race was among the supreme dominant factions spanning all realms. He had actually summoned a mythic rank angel? Lin Chun's eyes widened, his breath catching. I offer my greetings, Lord. Isabella hovered above the ground, looking down at Lin Chun with a slight frown. Notification: your stunned expression disappoints Michael. Isabella. Loyalty 1. Current loyalty, 69. Notification: Michael. Isabella's loyalty status shifts from dutiful to unmotivated. Lin Chun froze completely. What on earth was happening? Isabella's 6 wings dissolved into light particles as she landed gently on the ground. Her gaze swept across the barren mining territory. Notification: the crude, impoverished state of your territory disappoints Michael. Isabella. Loyalty 1. Current loyalty, 68. Archangel? Lin Chun forced himself to speak. If her loyalty kept dropping, this mythic angel might desert him once her loyalty fell below 60. What are your orders, Lord? Isabella regarded Lin Chun with frigid indifference. Compared to Ella, who had been obedient and respectful from the moment she was summoned, this angel carried an air of arrogance. He was unsure how to handle the icy archangel standing before him. Dismiss her and attempt another summoning? Unthinkable. Clearly, he would need time and effort to gradually win her loyalty. He could not assume all mythic heroes would be as easygoing as Ella. Lin Chun set aside his casual demeanor and spoke seriously. The territory is newly founded and still under development. I require you to venture forth to clear mist and eradicate nearby monsters. Isabella simply stared coldly at him and said nothing. Lin Chun met her gaze without backing down. At last, Isabella spoke in an emotionless tone. I refuse. Why? Lin Chun asked, confused. These inferior creatures are not worthy of facing my blade. Isabella replied with a slight shake of her head. Lin Chun was left speechless. This mythic angel's pride knew no bounds. Suddenly, Lin Chun thought of the epic rank flame drake lurking near Zhao Qin's territory, and a faint amused smile crossed his face. At that moment, something unexpected occurred. The level 5 iron arrow tower atop the hill rumbled violently. What whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Thick steel bolts tore through the air, screaming as they streaked toward the distant horizon. What was happening? Lin Chun stared in surprise. Beside him, Isabella showed rare shock. Notification: the overwhelming aerial defense firepower of your territory impresses Michael. Isabella. Loyalty plus 10. Current loyalty, 78. Notification: Michael. Isabella's loyalty status rises from unmotivated back to dutiful. What an unusual way of thinking, Lin Chun thought. He glanced at the dignified, cold yet strength-admiring angel beside him. Dawn of the 3rd day of settlement. As the first sunlight pierced the wasteland haze, novice Lord Zhou Fei dragged himself out of bed with heavy dark circles under his eyes. What creature could instantly slay a storm griffin flying 300 meters in the air? Zhou Fei stumbled out of his wooden hut, exhausted and gaunt, looking gravely ill. I have to pull myself together. Today marks the 3rd day. Monster waves will attack in 4 more days. I command high-tier storm griffins, aerial units. I will outmatch all other new lords. I am destined to conquer all realms. Zhou Fei kept encouraging himself internally. He rose even earlier than his farmers. Only once his starting hero woke did Zhou Fei mount 2 newly recruited storm griffins alongside him and set out to hunt monsters. Still haunted by yesterday's terrifying encounter, he dared not fly recklessly across the map today. Ren, do you think we can reach level 5 today? Zhou Fei leaned across the back of his storm griffin and turned toward the burly man beside him. The man sat steadily on the second griffin with a stern expression and nodded. Rest assured, Lord. I will complete the task. Ren was a standard starting hero, a heavy armor swordsman. Wielding a massive greatsword and coordinating with the diving attacks of the storm griffins, he could overwhelm ordinary low-tier monsters with ease. Zhou Fei smiled in relief and pushed yesterday's unnerving mystery out of his mind. Let us depart. I scouted that valley to the west yesterday. It teems with low-tier shadow wolves. Filled with confidence, Zhou Fei pointed westward. The storm griffins spread their wings and soared hundreds of meters above the endless wasteland. Abruptly, a thunderous roar shook heaven and earth. The shockwave made their ears ring and churned their blood. What is that? Zhou Fei barely had time to react before blinding white light engulfed everything. Emergency descent. Descend now. Panicked by sudden blindness, the 2 storm griffins flapped their wings wildly mid-air. Fortunately, the blinding effect faded quickly. The griffins glided shakily toward the ground. Phew, what on earth was that? Zhou Fei scanned his surroundings and breathed a sigh of relief upon realizing they had not strayed outside the safe zone. The next instant, a shrill whistling cut through the air. A terrifying projectile tore through space, impaling Ren straight through the torso and pinning him to the ground. Notification: your hero Ren has fallen in battle. The heavy armor swordsman did not even have time to scream before the massive steel bolt killed him instantly. Notification: your unit Storm Griffin has perished. Notification: your unit Storm Griffin has perished. Notification: you have been slain. Teleporting back to your Lord Crystal for resurrection. Resurrection complete. Zhou Fei stood blankly beside his crystal, staring at the familiar buildings of his territory. He stood rigid, as if his soul had been torn from his body. 5 full minutes passed before a hoarse, enraged roar echoed from the valley. What in the world was that? The farmers working nearby jumped in fright, staring at their lord as if he had lost his mind. No one dared provoke his wrath. After a brief pause, they bowed their heads and continued their labor. Turbid tears gushed wildly from Zhou Fei's sunken eye sockets. His legs buckled, and he slumped heavily onto the ground, bursting into loud, wrenching sobs. Whoa, this is outrageous. They're leaving me no way to survive. I never even laid eyes on them. I didn't even fly into their territory. I was just hunting monsters in the wildwoods near my home, and I still got shot down by anti-air turrets. It's only the 3rd day after launch. What kind of absurd defense tower has such insane range? The more Zhou Fei cried, the sadder he felt, and the more he thought about it, the greater his sense of grievance. What kind of suffering was this? He had once thought he was heaven's chosen one. Having drawn a high-tier flying unit at the start, he believed he could roam freely across the battlefield of 10,000 realms. But what happened in reality? On the 2nd day, his Storm Griffin, painstakingly raised to level 3 as his starting unit, was sniped for no apparent reason. On the 3rd day, 2 newly raised Griffins he had scraped together every resource to produce, along with his only hero, were wiped out in one fell swoop. Utterly despairing, Zhou Fei thought his career as a lord had ended before it had truly begun. Left with no troops under his command, how could he fend off the monster siege for days from now? Despair gnawed at him deeper and deeper, and despair ignited rage. Cheater, I'm filing an official report against you. You must be exploiting a system bug. I refuse to accept this. The game is unplayable. Seething with anger, Zhou Fei opened the 10,000 Realms forum and posted a lengthy complaint. He described his miserable ordeal with raw emotion and condemned the poor balance of the battlefield of 10,000 Realms. Yet shortly after he submitted the post, the comment section erupted. Where did this delusional kid come from? Writing science fiction here. Shot down alongside your birds from several kilometers away? Why not claim you were hit by an intercontinental missile? I can't stop laughing. Exploiting a system bug, really? A being capable of manipulating bugs in such an area would be powerful enough to erase you with a single glance. Creatures of that caliber are at minimum true gods above level 100. Under the laws governing the continent of all heavens, only existences who had crossed the level 100 threshold and forged a god core were permitted to touch and alter fundamental rules. Reading the flood of jeers and mockery in the comments, Zhou Fei's pin-up grievances spilled over completely, and he cried even louder. Notification: your Black Iron Arrow Tower has slain high-tier unit, Storm Griffin ×2. Loot obtained, Storm Griffin meat ×20. Notification: your Black Iron Arrow Tower has slain ordinary hero, Heavy Armor Swordsman. Loot obtained, Warrior Job Promotion Scroll ×1. Lin Chen scratched his head as he watched the kill notifications pop up on his terminal. Another Storm Griffin? He was rather thankful for the flying beast that had delivered itself to him the previous day. The soft down beneath a Storm Griffin's belly offered excellent warmth retention. The down bathrobe worn by Ella had been hand-sewn by Sun Xiaoqiao, using that very down. At level 5, the Black Iron Arrow Tower already boasted a base range 1.5 times that of a level 1 arrow tower. Stacked with the tenfold range boost from his mythic tier talent, its effective range had reached an outrageous level. He wondered which unlucky soul had lost not only their flying beasts, but also their hero to his defenses this time. Ella, pause monster hunting for now. Come back and take our new colleague out to familiarize her with our work. Lin Shun paid the incident little mind and sent Ella a voice message. He then glanced toward the aloof mythic angel beside him and added another line. If she refuses to cooperate, take her northwest to have a long conversation with that young flame dragon. After sending the message, Lin Shun ordered several strong female peasants to dispose of the Storm Griffin carcasses and collect all usable feathers. He then focused his mind and retrieved a scroll-shaped certificate from the storage space within his Lord Crystal. Warrior Promotion Certificate. Rank: Ordinary. Effect: can be used on human peasants/units to promote them into warriors, transforming them into hero units. There was an extremely low chance for defense towers within a territory to drop the corresponding class promotion certificate upon defeating an enemy hero. The stronger the defeated hero, the lower the drop rate. Against heroes of rare rank or higher, such items almost never dropped. Lin Shun had not expected his defense towers to secure the first hero kill and yield the certificate. Still, an ordinary tier warrior promotion certificate held little value to him. In the early stages of territory development, only lords who had tragically lost their own heroes would desperately seek such a lifeline. If he priced it too high, prospective buyers would rather save void energy to recruit a new hero from the barracks. After some thought, Lin Shun listed it on the trading house. He set the price at 1,000 void energy points. Lord Lin Shun. A soft breeze swept over as Ella landed lightly beside Lin Shun. Her emerald eyes widened with curiosity as she studied Isabella standing nearby. Isabella stared back at Ella, equally stunned. She could not wrap her mind around what she saw. How could this fledgling territory, which had not even passed the novice phase, harbor a second mythic tier hero besides herself? What incredible luck had this human lord stumbled upon? Had he saved an entire galaxy in his past life? Such fortune defied all logic. Confusion flickered across Isabella's expression as she looked at Ella, unable to accept the scene before her eyes. If drawing her, Saint Radiance Angel, from the high-tier Hall of Heroes counted as unimaginable luck, then recruiting an elven mythic hero from a run-down basic hero camp defied all explanation. A quiet suspicion stirred within her. This could not possibly be mere luck. Notification: witnessing your unfathomable reserves. Michael Isabella's loyalty +2. Current loyalty, 80. Notification: Michael Isabella's loyalty status has risen from dutiful to warmly affectionate. Lin Shun blinked in surprise. The icy angel who had worn a stern, unapproachable expression upon summoning had seen her loyalty soar to 80 in such a short time? Warmly affectionate. Lin Shun thought the mythic angel beside him had utterly unpredictable thoughts. Despite the system notification, he dared not grow overly casual with her. He clearly remembered that shortly after their first meeting, she had lost loyalty twice simply because she disapproved of him and the crude state of his territory. You are of the angel race? Ella leaned forward, intrigued by Isabella. Isabella nodded coolly. Receiving confirmation filled Ella with excitement, and she moved closer without hesitation. She reached out to touch and examine Isabella repeatedly, poking the fair skin exposed above her vambraces and prodding the soft flesh along her waist. You are a dignified elven mythic. Have you never met an angel before? Isabella brushed Ella's hands away with visible distaste. Ella stuck out her tongue sheepishly. Come with me. We're going monster hunting to level up. Lord Lin Shun assigned this task to us. At those words, Isabella glanced toward Lin Shun and gave an unprecedented nod of agreement. It seemed higher loyalty truly made a difference. Watching the two women depart together, Lin Shun let out a quiet sigh of relief. With the territory gate facing north, he directed the peasants to expand territory toward the east and west. Thanks to the flagstone roads the workers had just laid, traveling up and down the mountain had become far easier. Notification: total territory buildings have reached 100. The second stage effect of mythic tier talent, All Creation Thrives, has been activated. Notification: you may now construct buildings on empty land outside your territorial boundaries. The sun dipped below the horizon. Standing atop the mountain, Lin Shun gazed out at the countless black iron arrow towers stretching across the hillsides, a deep sense of satisfaction settling over him. He opened his Lord Crystal to review his current territory statistics. Lord Crystal, level 3, current population/capacity, 31/32. Current heroes/capacity, 2/2. Current buildings/capacity, 100/500. Current level cap for defenses, units, and heroes, 30. Current territory area, 256 grids, maximum, 500 grids. Unlocked building blueprints, civil infrastructure, basic cottage, lumber mill, mining pit, leather workshop, basic mess hall, granite pavement, leisure chamber. Military defense, basic barracks, black iron arrow tower, Hall of Heroes maximum capacity reached, stone wall. Special facilities, interdimensional trading post, enchantment forge, mysterious shop. Void energy production, automatically generates 2,000 void energy points daily. Current energy balance, 1,850 points. Dinner time, everyone. Wang Gang, tell the others to stop working and head back to eat and rest. Lin Shun called out at the top of his voice. A burly, sweat-soaked man hurried over, wiping sweat from his brow, his tone filled with guilt. Lord, we haven't finished building 100 arrow towers as you ordered this morning. Wang Gang felt terrible for failing to meet the target before nightfall. It's all right. Everyone has worked hard today. Go eat first. After dinner, take the others to wash up in the mountain stream behind the hills and rest early. Lin Chen waved his hand with a smile. Understood, Lord Lin Chen. Wang Gang nodded firmly, filled with gratitude toward his benevolent lord. He silently resolved to work to the limit the following day to repay Lin Chen's kindness. Ella returned alongside Isabella. Ella's level remained unchanged, while Isabella had advanced to level 3. After a full day of monster hunting, Isabella still maintained her usual cold, haughty demeanor. Let's go eat. Lin Chen led the two mythic tier heroes into the newly constructed mess hall. Mess halls, like cottages, were divided into grades ranging from C, B, A, S to SS, from lowest to highest. As soon as construction finished that day, Lin Chen had spent void energy to upgrade it straight to grade B without hesitation. The spacious two-story grade B dining hall could easily accommodate more than 30 residents. The table was laden with abundant dishes. There was polished rice and fresh vegetables Lin Chen had purchased from the mysterious shop using void energy, alongside storm griffin meat, mutant tiger meat, and giant bear meat obtained from monsters hunted during the day. Dozens of peasants who had labored all day occupied the ground floor, and the hall inevitably carried the tang of sweat. Isabella frowned slightly and waved her hand. A gentle wave of holy light rippled outward, instantly clearing all unpleasant odors from the room. Thank you, Angel Lady. Bathed in the soothing holy light, the peasants felt revitalized and shouted their thanks in unison. Isabella simply inclined her head in acknowledgement. Lin Chen took the two women to the main table on the second floor. Staring at the lavish spread of food, he could not help but reflect. Everyone claimed novice lords endured miserable hardship during the initial development phase, yet his life was far more comfortable than it had been before his transmigration. Happiness shared as happiness doubled. Lin Chen snapped a photo and sent it to his class group chat. Lin Chen, image attached. Dinner time. Has everyone eaten? Classmate A, Classmate B, Wang Tong, Zhao Qin, Class Monitor of Class 2. A flood of question marks scrolled rapidly through the chat. Lin Chen's apparent comfort was clearly a bitter pill for everyone else. Damn it. I've been doing back-breaking labor all day and acting as bait to lure monsters for my hero. I haven't had a single hot meal yet. This is supposed to be Lord Survival? Lin Chen's living in luxury. I'm so jealous. So many hearty dishes. How can one person eat all that? Lin Chen is truly a powerful ally to seek. Only 3 days since launch, and he's already living such an enviable life. Envy made mouths water. Zhao Qin. Image attached. Don't even mention it. My peasants are still starting fires by rubbing sticks together. Lin Chen opened the photo Zhao Qin shared and nearly choked on his food. Glancing at Isabella, who sat upright eating with careful, refined movements, he forced his laughter back. Lin Chen, is it really that harsh? What were you practicing for in the simulation exams? Why didn't anyone preserve embers from the first day? Wasting resources is shameful, Lord Lin Chen. If you can't finish all that food, can you list some on the trading house for us at a friendly price? Exactly. Give us a discount. I'm starving. Zhao Qin. The fire embers got blown out by a strange gust of wind. Brother Lin Chen, can I come over to your territory for dinner? Wang Tong. To be honest, resources are extremely tight at the start. Void energy shouldn't be spent so recklessly. Wang Tong makes a good point. Agreed. Even if I sold my barracks blueprint right away, I would never dare spend energy this freely. In the opening development phase, void energy was equivalent to life itself. Almost all lords poured energy into recruiting troops and erecting defense towers. Aside from purchasing the bare minimum rations needed to stay alive, no one spent energy as extravagantly as Lin Chen. Worse still, most players began with very little energy. A level 1 crystal generated merely 100 void energy points each day. Territory construction relied entirely on the 1,000 starting points provided in the novice gift pack. No one else dared spend energy so freely. Monitor, Lin Chen, extravagance is ill-advised. You must practice thrift. Monitor, Lin Chen took an unusual path. He sold all his blueprints for energy, so naturally he has plenty to spare. True, money lets him do as he pleases. I think he's just planning to enjoy himself during the 7-day protection period. Once protection expires and the monster siege arrives, he'll probably surrender and return to Blue Star. I agree. With such reckless development, he will never hold back the monster horde. As everyone stared at the photo of Lin Chen's elaborate dinner, jealousy spread through the group. Lin Chen drew a rare tier elven hero at the start. Would he simply give everything up? Who can say for sure? It's hard to tell. Perhaps his elven hero's loyalty dropped after seeing how idle he is, and she will abandon him. I doubt it. If Lin Chun wanted to live a laid-back life, he would have sold the elf long ago. Exactly. Conglomerate's back on Blue Star offered 10 million for her. But selling the hero won't matter if he can't survive the monster siege. Judging by his territory construction, his chances look slim. Arguments broke out across the chat. Zhao Qin. Wait a second. Has anyone noticed what building Lin Chun is dining inside? This is clearly a mess hall, and judging by its scale, it is at minimum grade B. Classmate A. Classmate B. Wang Tong. Monitor. Zhao Qin. If I remember correctly, the blueprint for the mess hall only unlocks once the Lord Crystal reaches level 3. Zhao Qin. Which means Lin Chen's territory is already level 3. All new messages instantly halted after Zhao Qin's lines appeared. The group fell completely silent, as though everyone had been muted. Every person stared fixedly at Zhao Qin's words, minds reeling. Level 3 territory. Upgrading a crystal from level 2 to level 3 required a full 50,000 void energy points. Most students in their class could not achieve a level 3 territory even under ideal simulation exam conditions. Lin Chun had pushed his territory to level 3 in only 3 days after launch. They frantically scrolled back through the chat history and zoomed in on Lin Chen's photo again. Beyond the lavish feast, they noted the texture of the wooden long tables, the 2-story structure, and lighting fixtures mounted on the ceiling. There was no doubt it was a mess hall, a high-standard grade B dining facility. A level 3 territory, even given an entire year to develop, I could never reach that. After a long pause, one person sent a timid message. That single line ignited the entire class group chat. At Lin Chun, at Lin Chun, at Lin Chun, at Lin Chun, at Lin Chun. Lord Lin Chun, please take us under your wing. We're all classmates. Have mercy on us, Lord Lin Chun. Remember how I wiped the blackboard for you once? Help me out, Lord. Quit lying. That was just your assigned duty. Lord Lin Chun, remember the times we went to internet cafes together? Please support us. Zhao Qin. You all have the nerve to beg? Your trivial connections mean nothing. I brought breakfast for brother Lin Chun many times. Lin Chun takes the bus to school. When did you bring him breakfast? Zhao Qin. I planned ahead. I started staying close to him before graduation. Is there any problem with that? Staying close? That's plain fawning. Aren't you embarrassed as a school beauty? Zhao Qin. Mind your own business. I choose to do this. Wang Tong. Lord Lin Chun. If it's convenient, could we join you to gain experience? Monitor. Lord Lin Chun. Please take us along. None of the students from Class 2 had imagined that someone from their ordinary high school would rise to such heights. What good were top simulation exam scores now? Once transported to the battlefield, textbook knowledge only allowed you to scrape by. Your fate ultimately rested on the troops and heroes drawn at launch, a matter pure chance. Those so-called top students and strategy guides meant nothing in the face of overwhelming luck. They could not comprehend how Lin Chun, an ordinary youth with no wealthy consortium backing him, had rocketed to success right from the start. There was no point dwelling on all of that now. A golden opportunity stood right in front of him. All he needed to do was cling tightly to it. Haha, Class 2 is going to make a name for ourselves this time. Aren't those guys from Class 3 always bragging about getting cavalry units? Hurry up and send over the photo of Senior Lin Chen's B-class luxury dining hall. Make them green with envy. One comment sparked an avalanche of replies. Lin Chen casually shared a photo of his meal, and his private message inbox instantly exploded. He quickly turned off private messages to enjoy some peace and quiet. Only one chat window remained open on his panel. It was the only friend he had added ever since arriving in the Endless Continent. Zhao Qin. Brother Lin Chen, can I come over to your territory for a meal? Lin Chen. It's 50 kilometers away. Do you really think you can run all the way here? Zhao Qin. If I die, I can respawn at my crystal. I'll keep running tomorrow, and I'll get there eventually. Lin Chen. Aren't you supposed to focus on developing your territory? Zhao Qin. An epic tier abyssal flame wormling is camped right outside my gate. How am I supposed to develop anything? Zhao Qin. My farmers tremble just cutting trees. They're terrified of making any noise, and their loyalty keeps plummeting. Zhao Qin. I can't believe my luck. Why is an epic boss guarding my spawn point right from the start? Lin Chen. My condolences, there's actually a legendary monster lurking not far from you as well. Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin. Brother Lin Chen, hurry up and grow stronger. You have to come rescue me. Lin Chen. All right. Even if Zhao Qin hadn't begged him, Lin Chen already had his sights set on that epic leader. Full and satisfied, Lin Chen closed the chat window. He didn't take Zhao Qin's plan to trek over for dinner seriously at all. 50 kilometers stretched ahead, covered with rugged mountain paths and ferocious beasts. There was no way a recent graduate girl could make it halfway. With time to spare, Lin Shen opened his Lord terminal and browsed the Blue Star forum. The photo he'd sent to the class group had already been reposted online. Though no person appeared in the frame, the lavish spread of dishes paired with the distinctive decor of a B-class mess hall was instantly recognizable. Without special construction blueprints, all B-class mess halls shared an identical design. He clicked into the comments section, which was filled with furious complaints. Greedy Tycoon. This is outrageous. It's completely unfair. He reached Tier 3 territory on only the third day. This guy must have used countless novice resource packs. He's hoarded so many starting resources from ordinary players. New lords could trade resources with each other through the exchange market. To reach Tier 3 territory within 3 days, everyone assumed the only possibility was illicit resource transfers. He's just getting flamed out of pure jealousy. He comes from an ordinary family. I can vouch for that. Shut up, you over there. Ordinary family. Don't make me laugh. Upgrading the territory crystal to Tier 3 requires 50,000 energy points. How could anyone gather that in 3 days? What if he sold some god-tier item? Lin Shen's classmate who spoke up for him sounded far from confident. What kind of item could sell for that much energy? You think wealthy consortium heirs are fools willing to pour energy into worthless junk? You never know. Didn't someone list a legendary dragon eye on the trade platform before, priced at 100,000 energy? Don't kid yourself. A legendary dragon eye would draw attention from countless races across all realms. A user with the ID Emperor Qin, unrivaled, replied. What if he's the one who sold that dragon eye? Him? Dream on. If he's the seller, I'll stream myself eating 3 pounds of dung live. Forum analysts already agreed. You could only obtain such a priceless treasure if you slayed a legendary dragon unit right at the start. Ridiculous. You're saying his classmate rolled a legendary unit. After watching the thread for a while and seeing his classmates defend him, Lin Shen decided to speak up. His forum ID was Starry Whispers. Starry Whispers. I'm the one who listed the dragon eye. When will you start that live stream? A user named Wastrel Young Master Wong immediately jumped into the fray. Oh, look who's finally showed up to defend himself. Still running your mouth. You can't even tell a convincing lie. Go back home. Do you really think you're worthy of selling a legendary dragon eye? Princess Chu Qianqian is the only one on Blue Star who obtained a legendary unit. Who do you think you are to stand beside her? Everyone gather around and applaud the so-called rising star of Blue Star. Mockery flooded the forum thread, especially the user who'd promised the livestream, who kept spamming insults toward Lin Shen. Tired of pointless arguing, Lin Shen directly uploaded a screenshot of the completed transaction record from the marketplace backend into the thread. Starry Whispers. At Wastrel Young Master Wong. Make sure to tag me when you go live. The entire forum fell dead silent in an instant. The mysterious powerhouse who sold the legendary dragon eye was actually a newly arrived lord from Blue Star. Emperor Qin, unrivaled. I kneel before the great expert. Front row to worship the immortal. Worship +1. You're unbelievably powerful. Expert, do you need a follower? All the taunts vanished without a trace. Some users deleted their comments, others went quiet. Nothing remained but endless flattery. Elsewhere. Princess, someone on the Blue Star forum claims to have sold a legendary dragon eye. The sovereign plans to allocate national resources to recruit this individual. Chu Qianqian, dressed in a snow-white gown, was speaking through her Lord terminal. She raised an eyebrow. What's their username? She hadn't paid much attention to the legendary dragon eye listed on the marketplace. If she wanted to, she could slay her own legendary unit, the Frost Dragon, and sell its scales. But a legendary unit's combat value was irreplaceable. Only a fool would do something like that. She assumed the listing was merely a cheap stunt for attention. Their ID is Starry Whispers. Our people are still verifying their identity. The words over the line stunned Chu Qianqian. Moments later, she snapped angrily, "Stop the investigation. There's no point trying to recruit him." Princess? He turned down the offer to become Blue Star's royal consort. Do you honestly believe he wants our resources? Could it be Lin Shen? Who else? Chu Qianqian gritted her teeth. There was only one Lin Shen she knew, the man who defeated her publicly in the Interstellar Tactics tournament. The Blue Star sovereign admired him and extended an official invitation. Yet Lin Shen rejected the proposal on the grounds of personal freedom. The incident humiliated her deeply, and no one dared provoke him afterward. I understand, Your Highness. I will submit a full report to the sovereign. Beep, beep, beep. Chu Qianqian angrily cut off the communication. She held no affection for Lin Shen, but his public refusal wounded her pride. She was a star princess, daughter of Blue Star's highest ruler. What was lacking about her? Countless people would give anything to climb into such an influential position. Yet this man brushed her off with talk of personal freedom. It was nothing short of a public slap to her face. If cross-realm teleportation restrictions didn't exist in the Endless Continent, Lin Shan would have been hounded by her supporters long ago. A legendary dragon eye? It seems you're thriving over here, Lin Shan. Just you wait. As Chu Qianqian scrolled the forum and spotted Lin Shan's photo of the lavish feast, she stamped her foot in frustration. Without hesitation, she poured vast amounts of energy into upgrading her own B-class mess hall straight into an A-class restaurant. Lin Shan swore to the heavens. He'd rejected the marriage offer purely because he hated being bound by obligations. Becoming the consort to Blue Star's highest leader? Regardless of what the royal family thought, Lin Shan knew he couldn't endure it. He had no desire to cater to a spoiled princess's temperament. Lin Shan shook his head, casting those distracting thoughts aside. Night fell. Standing atop the mountain under moonlight, he overlooked his steadily expanding territory. Patch by patch, this land was falling under his control. Tomorrow I'll build several arrow towers outside to test damage calculations. If I place arrow towers out here to hunt monsters, will they draw aggro all the way back to the territory core? If monsters only attack the outer towers, I could pull off some clever tactics. Glancing at the second stage effect of his mythic talent, Lin Shan pondered his next moves. Lord Lin Shan, it is time to rest. Ella walked over to Lin Shan wearing a downy nightgown, her voice soft and gentle. Lin Shan turned to look at the elven archer beside him. Even beneath the loose nightwear, the elegant, flawless figure typical of elves was clearly visible, complemented by the soft plumage of storm griffins, lending her an extra allure. Let's go. Lin Shan nodded. Ella naturally slipped her arm through his. The moment she drew close, he felt a gentle warmth against his arm. Now that her favorability toward him had reached warm attachment, Ella grew increasingly forward. Day 4. Only 3 days remained before the first monster siege wave. Time was running out for all novice lords. Anyone who failed to hold back the horde would be erased and eliminated outright. Dawn broke. Sunlight pierced the thick gray mist, spilling over the barren wasteland and illuminating every lord's base. The lands beyond territory borders were lawless, dangerous wilderness. The fog lifted during daylight, only to gather again after dark, covering every trace of exploration. Lin Shan did not wake to system settlement notifications this morning. Ella aroused him instead. Lord Lin Shan, I plan to take Isabella hunting farther afield today. We won't return for lunch. Ella smiled as she reported her plans. Why venture so far out? Lin Shan asked casually. I want to level up faster. Most of the low-level monsters nearby have already been cleared out. I aim to reach level 10 today, so we can challenge that epic boss tomorrow. Satisfied, Lin Shan nodded upon hearing her plan. Very well, you may go. From the day he arrived, he knew Ella tended toward a laid-back mindset. Her initiative these past few days pleased him greatly. He wholeheartedly supported her decision to go hunting today. Heroes needed gradual nurturing. He dared not assign overly heavy tasks too soon. Let's depart, Isabella. Ella tugged the angel toward the gate. At the entrance, Isabella suddenly halted. She turned her head toward Lin Shan, who sat on the bed, and spoke coolly. I'm leaving. Lin Shan blinked, then replied. Be careful out there. It seemed the icy mythic angel was not entirely devoid of emotion. The sun dipped toward the west. Lin Shan sat atop a large boulder on the mountain peak, gazing at the blood-red sunset, his mood light. Notification. Your hero Ella has risen to level 10. All base attributes have greatly increased. Notification. Your hero Michael Isabella has risen to level 7. All base attributes have greatly increased. After a full day of monster hunting, Ella gained 3 levels, while Isabella jumped 4 levels. The pair explored a wide stretch of land and slayed staggering numbers of beasts. Lin Shan was about to call his farmers to prepare dinner when shrill territory alarm sirens suddenly wailed. An uninvited guest had crossed into his territory boundaries. Surprised, Lin Shan opened his terminal map and stared at the blinking blue marker. Green dots marked allies, red dots signified hostile forces, and blue dots represented friends. So it's her. Lin Shan shook his head with amusement when he saw the visitor was Zhao Qin. He'd thought some stealthy rare monster had slipped past his defenses. She actually hiked all the way here on foot. Lin Shan descended the mountain to greet her personally. They were former classmates, both now lords. There was no need for him to put on airs. Lin Shan, Sr. Zhao Qin's tongue stumbled the instant she laid eyes on him. She stared wide-eyed at the mountain terrain, the surrounding wasteland, and rows upon rows of tall arrow towers spreading across the hills. Overcome with awe, like a country girl seeing a bustling city for the first time. Come along. Let's get you something to eat first. Lin Chen patted dust and dead leaves off her shoulders. Lin Chen felt a flicker of admiration. A newly graduated young woman had trekked 50 kilometers through untamed wilderness in a single day. He'd assumed her constant pleas for a meal were nothing but empty jokes, yet she'd pushed herself to make the journey. Fortunately, Ella had cleared wild beasts along the route the previous day. Without that, even a couple of low-tier predators would have stopped Zhao Qin dead in her tracks. Zhao Qin knew nothing of this. From her perspective, every stretch of the path held unknown peril, yet she'd pressed forward relentlessly. Even if death meant respawning back at her crystal and wasting all progress, she refused to quit. I am covered in dirt. Zhao Qin glanced down at her muddy clothes, embarrassed. Spiderwebs clung to her hair. No worries. One of my heroes can clean you up, Lin Chen said, leading her uphill. Really? Zhao Qin's eyes lit up. Is she a beautiful elf? Can she use water magic to wash me? Mid-sentence, her foot slipped. After walking mountain trails non-stop all day, her calves throbbed relentlessly. Climbing the hill sapped her last reserves of stamina. Lin Chen quickly reached out to steady her and frowned slightly. Want me to carry you up? Thank you. Too exhausted to keep walking, Zhao Qin did not decline. Keep your hands to yourself, all right? Zhao Qin's cheeks flushed as she watched Lin Chen kneel with his back toward her. Don't worry, I have no interest, Lin Chen said helplessly. Her temper flared at his casual remark. That's not what I meant. She gasped for breath. After a full day of exertion and constant stress, her patience wore thin. I promise I won't misbehave. Reassured, Zhao Qin carefully climbed onto his back. Lin Chen supported her calves with both hands and began ascending. Farmers had laid smooth stone paths along the mountainside. She actually fell asleep, Lin Chen murmured, shaking his head. He reached the summit and gently laid Zhao Qin down on a wooden bed inside the hero hall. 2 hours passed. Hunger pangs and parched throat woke Zhao Qin from slumber. Night had fully fallen outside the windows. Dinner. My feast. Zhao Qin nearly cried. The promise of that lavish meal had fueled her through 50 kilometers of walking. Every time she wanted to quit, she pulled up the photo of Lin Chen's dinner and kept moving. How unlucky could she be to sleep through it? Stop complaining. I saved you food. Lin Chen pushed open the door and stepped inside, turning on the magical lamp mounted on the wall. Zhao Qin stared at him for a moment before realizing she'd fallen asleep on a bed inside someone else's territory. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Come, let's eat. Lin Chen gestured. Okay. Zhao Qin nodded vigorously and followed him into the B-class mess hall she'd dreamed of seeing. It was a 2-story building of gray brick. The interior was spacious. A large round table stood in the center of the hall covered with clean tablecloth, with mutated beast pelts spread across the floor. Savory steam rose from the dishes, filling the air with an irresistible aroma. Zhao Qin breathed deeply, eyes sparkling. The setting resembled a high-end restaurant back on Blue Star. Could this truly be the Endless Continent? Recalling her own days of hunger, fear, and hardship over the past few days, a bitter feeling welled up inside her. Suddenly, she noticed an odd number of place settings. Are more people joining us? Hot food still steamed on the table, yet 2 extra sets of cutlery were laid out. They'll be here shortly, Lin Chen nodded. Ella and Isabella, who'd been hunting outside, had just stepped through the territory gate. Footsteps echoed, and Ella entered first. Lin Chen shot her a glance. She lowered her head sheepishly. She had promised to return in the afternoon, but stayed out until dark. She'd nearly hit level 10, so she asked Lin Chen's permission to continue hunting until she broke through. Wow. Sitting beside the table, Zhao Qin let out a startled cry the moment she saw the 2 mythic heroes walk through the doorway. Who is this? Ella asked in confusion. An old classmate of mine. Lin Chen felt a twinge of awkwardness watching Zhao Qin's overexcited reaction. Zhao Qin quickened her pace and rushed straight up to Isabella. Her eyes sparkled brightly. Just look at that snow-white hair cascading like a waterfall. Look at those cool, stunning facial features. Look at those proud, indifferent silver eyes. And then there was that sacred white armor she wore. She was simply the perfect embodiment of the ultimate idol Zhao Qin had always imagined. Zhao Qin had long dreamed of achieving great things and becoming a powerful empress ruling her own domain. Whether in bearing or appearance, the radiant holy angel standing before her fit every single one of her aesthetic ideals. Let me introduce you. These are my 2 heroes, Ella and Isabella. Lin Chen watched Zhao Qin's starstruck expression. Heroes. Hello. My name is Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin stammered, eyes full of hope, longing to shake Isabella's hand. But when she glanced down and saw she was covered in dirt, she feared she would stain the sacred armor. Her outstretched hand froze halfway in the air. Seeing this, Isabella merely lifted her eyelids faintly. A soft radiance of holy light descended, cleansing every speck of grime from Zhao Qin's body in an instant. What is this? Zhao Qin stood rooted to the spot. Experiencing the power of light firsthand for the first time filled her with wonder. Empress of Light, please take me as your disciple. Teach me how to become a ruler of a territory. With an exclamation, Zhao Qin dropped to her knees with a heavy thud. This sudden gesture caught Isabella completely off guard. A rare look of bewilderment flickered across her eternally icy face. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Chen broke into a violent coughing fit, nearly choking on his food. What on earth was going through Zhao Qin's mind? You were a lord in your own right, yet you knelt to beg my hero to take you as a student. A loud rumble echoed from her empty stomach. Zhao Qin lifted her head with an awkward chuckle. Let's eat first. Hurry and eat. Lin Chen quickly spoke up, breaking the awkward atmosphere filling the room. After the satisfying meal, Zhao Qin clutched her stuffed belly and slumped back into the chair. I ate too much, can't move an inch. I'm going to sleep. Good night, she mumbled, then closed her eyes and drifted off on the spot. Thank you, brother Lin Chen, this girl. Lin Chen shook his head helplessly. He stepped forward, lifted her up, and carried her to a bed in the hero's hall. Early the next morning, Lin Chen woke up holding Ella close. System prompt. You tossed and turned in your sleep. Ella's loyalty +3. Current loyalty, 89. The notification echoing in his mind told him Ella had been awake for some time. Lin Chen felt a twinge of embarrassment and hastily pulled his arms away. Today marked the 5th day. Lin Chen was brimming with motivation. Ella had broken through level 10, and Isabella had reached level 7. Everyone, prepare yourselves. We marched to hunt the blazing shadow dragon. Standing atop the hill. Wait, it's only the 4 of us going? Lord Lin Chen, you haven't raised any troops at all? Zhao Qin shrank back nervously. What do you mean, the 4 of us? Lin Chen asked. Can you or I fight in combat? The real fighting will be done by them. Zhao Qin stared at Ella and Isabella in shock. She knew Ella was likely in existence of legendary rank. But even if Isabella was also legendary, sending just 2 heroes to challenge a level 15 epic boss dragon was practically rushing into certain danger. No matter how beautiful they looked, looks alone could not win a battle. Brother Lin Chen, an epic leader of level 15, would have a combat power of at least 1,000 points. Zhao Qin whispered nervously to remind him. So what if it's 1,000 points? Lin Chen strode steadily forward. Ella and Isabella walked at either side, never straying far from his side to guard him. So what if it's 1,000 points? Did Lin Chen understand exactly what 1,000 combat power represented? Lin Chen's calm demeanor left Zhao Qin utterly stunned. If anyone else had spoken like this, Zhao Qin would not have hesitated to mock them for losing their senses. But these words came from Lin Chen. She knew full well he was not one to boast recklessly. That left only one possibility, unshakable confidence. Glancing at the rows of tall arrow towers stretching across the mountains and the sturdy defensive battle lines, Zhao Qin felt strength return to her trembling legs as she walked. A sense of assurance settled over her. Facing a level 15 epic boss, this confidence seemed ridiculous. Still, this sense of security came from Lin Chen. Ella cast swift aura on the group. Wind surged beneath their feet, letting each stride carry them several meters forward. Even with Lin Chen and Zhao Qin, 2 people with no combat strength, slowing them down, the group reached the outer bounds of Zhao Qin's territory in merely 2 hours. It took me an entire day to travel this path yesterday, Zhao Qin could not help but exclaim. Under the effect of swift aura, she could run 50 kilometers without sore legs or gasping for breath. It felt incredible, truly worthy of a high-tier hero. This skill was both practical and pleasant to use. Ahead lay a densely overgrown valley with weeds rising as tall as a person. Trees were sparse within the valley, standing isolated far apart from one another. A massive black dragon coiled in the valley's center. Sound asleep. As a level 15 epic leader, it had never left this spot since it was born. No wild monster dared encroach upon its territory. Within several kilometers, not even a rat could be found, apart from the dilapidated lands belonging to Zhao Qin. The dragon's eyes remained shut, enormous membranous wings folded against its sides. The breath it exhaled even in its sleep scorched the grass below into charred earth. Even curled up, its body stood over 10 meters tall, resembling a towering black hill. Zhao Qin could scarcely imagine how immense it would look once its wings spread fully open. Eventually, the overwhelming aura emanating from the 2 mythic heroes roused the colossal beast. It snapped open blood-red vertical pupils glinting with cruel ferocity. A deafening roar shook the sky. As observers, Lin Chun and Zhao Qin quickly retreated. They had come only to witness the epic monster up close. Getting caught in the crossfire would be disastrous. Zhao Qin would be fine. Her territory was nearby, and she could revive to watch again if she perished. If Lin Chun died, however, he would respawn back at his base and miss everything. That dilapidated territory of yours will likely be flattened soon. Lin Chun watched the black dragon rise to its feet. He knew battles of this scale wrought destruction spanning kilometers. I already ordered my heroes to lead the farmers to safety. Zhao Qin's eyes welled with anxiety. Though the novice protection period was still active, only the Lord Crystal, Barracks, and Hero Hall remained invulnerable during these 7 days. All other buildings could be destroyed. The cottages, walls, and several arrow towers she had painstakingly built would undoubtedly be lost. Today was already the 5th day. The novice protection period would end soon. Every newly arrived lord would face their harshest trial. The first monster siege would arrive precisely at dusk on the 7th day. Brother Lin Chun, you have to come help me when the monster horde attacks. Zhao Qin's voice trembled. Don't worry, Lin Chun nodded. He understood clearly that it would be nearly impossible for Zhao Qin to rebuild a defensive line, capable of holding back monster waves within 2 short days. To make matters worse, the unit she had summoned were light priestesses who possessed no offensive power whatsoever. Whoosh! An arrow sliced through the air at terrifying speed. Invisible wind coalesced into vivid emerald green. Violent wind element energy wrapped around the arrow, granting it devastating destructive power. Clang! The arrow slammed firmly into the tough black dragon scales. Ella struck first. The dragon roared in rage, and the great battle erupted instantly. Hurricane winds howled, making it impossible for Lin Chun to open his eyes. Tremendous crashes rang out, buzzing in his ears. The two crouched awkwardly within the distant grass. This so-called front-row viewing experience of an epic tier battle was far from ideal. Until I grow stronger, I ought to avoid getting caught up in fights like this. Lin Chun sighed with a bitter smile. He had hoped to witness something spectacular, only to realize battles of this magnitude unfolded far too quickly for his eyes to follow. He did not even qualify to stand nearby and watch. Bow drawn taut, sacred sword blazing across the heavens, the two mythic heroes fought side by side and struck down the abyssal blazing whelp within the valley. System prompt. Your heroes Ella and Michael Isabella have slain the epic tier boss monster, Abyssal Blazing Whelp. Rewards. Dragon meat times 1,000, 75,000 experience points, 37,500 void energy. System prompt. You have obtained rare loot. Frost Enchantment Scroll Tower exclusive, Flame Transformation Blueprint Tower exclusive. Epic Spellbook. Blazing Inferno, Epic Building Core, Shadow Dragon Heart, Epic High-Grade Energy Source, Shadow Crystal Core. System prompt. Your hero Ella has risen to level 11. All attributes increased. System prompt. Your hero Ella has risen to level 12. All attributes increased. System prompt. Your hero Michael Isabella has risen to level 8. All attributes increased. System prompt. Your hero Michael Isabella has risen to level 9. All attributes increased. System prompt. Your hero Michael Isabella has risen to level 10. All attributes increased. The constant notifications from the Lord Terminal jolted Lin Chun out of his daze. He scrambled to his feet, his hair a wild, messy bird's nest. Strange black flames burned everywhere across the valley ahead. This magical fire would likely continue burning for days. Ella and Isabella stepped lightly across the charred earth as they walked over. The two stunning mythic heroines still looked immaculate, their white armor unblemished. Not a single strand of hair out of place. After breaking level 10, Ella could defeat the abyssal blazing whelp single-handedly. With Isabella supporting her in combat, the fight was entirely one-sided. Neither of them had even unleashed their ultimate skills before easily claiming victory. Wow, that was incredible. Zhao Qin leaped out from the grass, gesturing wildly in excitement. As she surveyed the wreckage, a level 15 epic boss had been defeated so effortlessly. She had been lying low in the grass and seen almost nothing of the fight. But the battlefield, which looked as though it had been bombarded, along with the lingering black flames, was more than enough to leave her awestruck. She quickly pulled out her terminal and snapped a photo of the battlefield as a memento. Her gaze then locked firmly onto Isabella. If the elf alone was legendary rank, she could never have defeated the dragon so quickly on her own. There could be only one conclusion. This graceful woman radiating sacred aura was at minimum an epic tier hero. Epic rank. Zhao Qin swallowed hard. She had heard that the strongest lord from the previous generation only possessed a single legendary hero as their ace. Epic tier heroes were assets reserved for veteran lords from earlier generations. Every year, countless young people turned 18 and descended upon the Endless Continent. Lords were grouped into generations based on the year they arrived. This batch of new arrivals had to survive the first monster siege 7 days later to officially attain full lord status and be recorded in the archives. Empress of Light, you are unbelievably powerful. Zhao Qin gave Isabella a thumbs up, wearing an eager smile. Isabella retained her icy expression and did not spare her a glance. Yet Zhao Qin felt no embarrassment at all. Of course, a true powerhouse ought to remain this aloof. From the moment she first laid eyes on Isabella yesterday, she had regarded her as her ultimate idol. It was a pity this perfect divine beauty served under Lin Chen. If only she would accept Zhao Qin as a disciple. All right, I'll be heading back. I need to return to my base. Lin Chen waved toward Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin waved reluctantly at Isabella, then turned and ran toward her territory. Her lands had been flattened by the shockwaves of the battle. Though Lin Chen had promised to aid her in defense, she still wanted to rush back and lay basic infrastructure. Besides, the guardian monster at her doorstep was now dead. Her priestess hero could finally venture outside to hunt monsters and level up. Ella nimbly tore free a tough dragon tendon. She bundled up the scattered dragon remains and lifted the package with one hand. Though the dragon had been enormous in life, the Lord's system automatically condensed its remains after death, greatly reducing the volume and weight of the spoils. Time to head home, Lin Chen said. He pulled out a dagger carved from Cloud Water Dragon horn, raised it toward his chest, ready to sacrifice himself to teleport back to base. Just then, a gentle barrier of holy light materialized over his chest, blocking the blade. Lin Chen looked toward Isabella in surprise. This reserved angel was actually concerned for him. You two can travel quickly, while I move slowly on foot. I'm just trying to save time. Lin Chen explained why he intended to sacrifice himself. He drove the dagger forward again. The holy barrier over his chest remained unshaken. The blade could not pierce through. I shall fly you back, Isabella spoke in a cool tone. Really? Lin Chen's eyes lit up instantly. He had long known Isabella possessed the power of flight, and had always wanted to experience soaring through the skies. But he had hesitated to ask, worried about her loyalty. He feared a careless request might undo the loyalty he had worked to raise to 80. Hearing they would fly, Ella broke into a cheerful smile. She handed the bundled dragon meat to Isabella, then nimbly climbed onto the package. Whoosh! Sacred radiance burst forth. 6 broad white wings unfurled from Isabella's back. She looked at Lin Chen, waiting expectantly, and uttered 3 words with a blank expression. Turn around. Understood. Lin Chen obeyed and turned his back. He would finally experience flight. This was nothing like riding an airship. It was true, unbound flight through the open sky, with the wind rushing against his face. The next second, Lin Chen felt a firm tug on the collar of his tunic. His feet left the ground as he was lifted into the air. Isabella's 6 wings swept powerfully once. She held Lin Chen aloft by the back of his tunic with her right hand, just like lifting a chick. Her left hand grasped the dragon tendon binding the spoils. Ella sat steadily atop the pile of dragon meat. A brilliant streak of white light shot upward toward the horizon. Back at his territory, Lin Chen immediately summoned Sun Xiaoqiao and instructed her to process the remains of the abyssal blazing whelp, cleaning and storing all valuable materials in the warehouse. You two don't need to go monster hunting today. Lin Chen turned to Ella and Isabella. Rest within the base today and stand guard. He knew Ella's natural temperament favored relaxation. She had fought nonstop these past few days and battled an epic boss today. She deserved proper rest. Balance was essential. If he pushed the laid-back elf too hard, she would simply refuse to work. Wonderful. Ella beamed brightly. Sunlight fell across her smooth, fair skin. Her favorite activity was quiet contemplation. The recreational hut built within the base was suitable for farmers to unwind. Watching Ella's joyful smile, Lin Chen began brainstorming ways to improve their quality of life. Construct a hot spring? Set up some form of entertainment? Both ideas sounded promising. Isabella said nothing. She waved a wisp of holy light to brush away all dust clinging to Lin Chen's clothes, then let Ella drag her off by the hand. Ella found a perfect spot to rest, a wide flat stone at the heart of the barren mountain. Wang Gang, inform everyone to halt construction of new arrow towers today. Lin Chen patrolled his territory and called out to Wang Gang at the foot of the mountain. As you command, Lord Lin Chen. What task shall we undertake next? Wang Gang bowed respectfully. Lin Chen pulled out the special items obtained from slaying the dragon, the Frost Enchantment Scroll and the Flame Transformation Blueprint. He handed both to Wang Gang. Deliver these to the enchantment workshop and upgrade our arrow towers. Understood, my lord. Wang Gang immediately rushed off to order the farmers to suspend work. Currently, Lin Shun possessed a total of 230 arrow towers spread inside and outside his territory. Numbers are sufficient now. It is time to boost individual unit quality. Fortunately, the dragon dropped relevant upgrade materials. Arrow towers have a maximum level cap of 100. Apart from raising levels directly, architectural quality can also be improved through blueprint reconstruction and enchantment. Once ordinary arrow towers receive enchantment and reconstruction, they can leap across tiers outright. Under normal circumstances, dismantling a single defense tower requires several soldiers of the same rank working together. That explains why such reconstruction materials are extremely rare. Even the level 15 epic boss only dropped an advanced grade scroll. Though it fell short of rare tier, the loot was still well worth it. In the Endless Continent, defending a territory is always far easier than launching a siege. Defense structures are the core reason behind this. If a rare defense tower construction card dropped, it could only build one tower at most. However, this advanced reconstruction scroll affects all identical buildings within the territory. If Lin Shun chooses to use it, every arrow tower unlocked via the Lord Crystal can be promoted directly to advanced defense towers. As for the lacking advanced materials, he can convert territory energy into them directly. He had just obtained 75,000 points of energy today, so he had ample resources to spare. Lin Shun's primary objective was the monster siege arriving in the evening the day after tomorrow. He aimed to claim top-tier ranking rewards. The ranking rewards were extraordinarily generous. This was his critical chance to break through social barriers as a commoner starting out. He could not afford to miss it. Flame Burn Skill Tome, Shadow Dragon Heart Core, Shadow Crystal Energy Source. Lin Shun sorted out the remaining spoils and muttered quietly. As the name suggested, using a skill tome allowed one to instantly master a spell. It could be given to heroes or kept for himself. Still, handing it to Ella and Isabella would be a waste. An epic spell would only drag down the combat prowess of mythic tier heroes. Lin Shun resolved to keep it. He would learn it once he survived the monster siege and officially became a full lord. Official lords could unlock cultivation systems and wield personal combat power. The Endless Continent gathered cultivation techniques from countless universes for anyone to choose from. That was the most alluring feature of this world. Countless people ventured forth in pursuit of power. Rumors even claimed that breaking past level 100 granted eternal life. Reach level 100, ascend to godhood, and gain immortality. All lords firmly believed this legend. Yet the Endless Continent teemed with deadly dangers. Let alone lords. Even leveling soldiers and heroes up to level 100 was harder than climbing to heaven. Lin Shun tossed the Shadow Crystal straight into the energy slot of the Lord Crystal. As an epic energy source, it could sustain the base's daily consumption entirely. From then on, lighting and all other basic facilities would no longer drain territory energy, powered by shadow energy instead. How should he utilize the Shadow Dragon Heart? Lin Shun frowned slightly. The base currently possessed no high-tier structures capable of housing an epic power core. A day passed. 50 arrow towers within the base had finished upgrading. Ice Arrow Defense Tower, Grade, Advanced, Level 1, HP 290, Attack Power 29, Defense 29, Range 1,500 meters, tenfold amplification active enchantment effect. Ice Flame Attack slow targets by 40 tenfold amplification active. At level 1, the base stats of an Ice Arrow Tower were double those of an ordinary arrow tower. Its range extended an additional 500 meters. It also came with extra slowing crowd control. Buffed by his mythic talent, these stats were simply overpowered. Cannon Emplacement Tower, Grade, Advanced, Level 1, HP 290, Attack Power 29, Defense 29, Range 1,500 meters, tenfold amplification active. Reconstruction effect. Cannon strikes trigger splash explosions, boosting damage by 50 tenfold amplification active. Ordinary arrow towers had been transformed into large caliber artillery pieces. Shadow energy supplied all power and ammunition. Still, reconstructing them consumed large quantities of alloy and gunpowder, burning through plenty of territory energy. The increase in firepower was plainly visible. Blessed by the mythic talent, they permanently enjoyed a 50 damage bonus. As levels rose in the future, the power gap would only widen further. Lin Shun was highly satisfied with these two varieties of advanced defense towers. Nevertheless, he planned to halt large-scale reconstruction for the next 2 days. Specialized structures excelled through unique functions. Ice Arrow Towers handled fast, highly agile monsters. Cannon emplacement towers cleared swarms of weak foes. To slay formidable enemies in one strike, he still relied on formations of basic arrow towers. It was not that ice arrow and cannon towers lacked strength. The main issue was their exorbitant upgrade costs. Without ready corresponding materials, forcing upgrades devoured massive amounts of energy. Basic arrow towers only required ordinary wood and stone to level up. Once basic arrow towers reached level 2, their base attributes would match level 1 ice arrow and cannon towers. Though they lacked fancy special effects, they were cheap to maintain and dealt devastating single-target damage. In the long run, if you upgraded basic arrow towers to high levels first before reconstructing them via blueprints, their levels would be forcibly reset back to level 1. All resources invested in earlier upgrades would be completely wasted. But Lin Shen paid no heed to long-term plans. He only focused on the upcoming monster siege. The system scaled the scale of monster hordes according to the territory's overall combat strength. To secure the highest ranking, he needed to trigger the hardest Cataclysm tier monster horde. Therefore, he must boost his short-term peak combat power at all costs. Gritting his teeth, Lin Shen poured massive amounts of territory energy to raise all existing ice arrow towers and cannon emplacement towers to level 3. Wang Gang. After dinner, Lin Shen took the initiative to summon Wang Gang and request overtime for the first time. My lord, the burly man bowed and awaited orders. You have 2 days. By this time the day after tomorrow, can you raise the remaining 180 basic arrow towers, all to level 5? Lin Shen asked in a solemn tone. Wang Gang froze for a second upon hearing this, then replied resolutely. I guarantee the mission will be accomplished.